Chapter 1080. But he can cast magic. So it's true. Zhou Xiaobei shouted, unconvinced. Jiang Tian flicked his finger, and water lines changed in the air. One moment it was a rabbit, the next it was a pony, and it could even run. The two children were shocked. Do you want to learn? Yes, yes, yes. The two children nodded vigorously, like chickens pecking at rice. Teach the children well. Ah, how soul in heaven can rest in peace. Jiang Tian took out a set of 3 pure foundation establishment arts from his storage ring, and left behind dozens of pills to improve physique, and gave them to Yi Gufeng and Qiu Gongdao. Yi Gufeng and Qiu Gongdao solemnly agreed, and were even more grateful for Jiang Tian's benevolence. Jiang Tian declined the two's request to entertain him as a host, and hurriedly left. Jiang Tian saw again. Shen Lu and Zheng Li's family were doing well. In fact, Shen Li's talent was still unable to control Jiang Tian's many industries in the United States. He only served as an independent director, received dividends, and was a free and unfettered rich man. However, illness came like a landslide, and Zheng Jiushuan passed away. Guangxiao Group had a new leadership, and Zheng Li was the president. Jiang Tian only looked at them from afar. It was good to have worldly happiness, and they didn't have to embark on the path of cultivation. After that, Jiang Tian went to Jinling again. Now Jiang Tian was finally living in Sidoni, so that Jiang Tian could rest assured. Cheng Yi didn't need to protect him anymore. The father and son had returned to the northeast, and became a powerful force. They were also the peripheral forces of Tianqing School in Huaxia. Tan Guangxiu was still a civil servant, but he was already a deputy director. His development was good, and his future was bright. Su Ruocheng and Su Zhenlei had also completed the stage mission of protecting Jiang Zhixing, and began to develop their own industries. Relying on Jiang Tian's protection, Su Zhenlei had become the most famous tyrant in the Yangtze River Delta, and his power was no less than Yi Wudao's in the past. Of course, Su Zhenlei wouldn't dare to act as rashly as Leaf Dao Denier had done years ago. He wouldn't dare to violate the laws of the mortal world. After all, the Huaxia Martial Arts Alliance and the Long Formation Organization were Jiang Tian's men. He did not dare to cause trouble for Jiang Tian. Since the last trip to Hong Kong, Zhen Shuai had completely changed his mind. Although he failed to win Yuan Kerson's heart, he still found a gentle and virtuous woman to marry and have a child with. From afar, Jiang Tian watched the family having an outdoor barbecue in the courtyard of the villa. He did not disturb them and quietly left. Now, this kind of ordinary happiness was too far away from Jiang Tian. In fact, Jiang Tian's help to them might have come to an end. As long as they and their descendants did not run amok, in the future, they would gradually develop into a century-old distinguished clan. Jiang Chao, Jiang Banksia, and the rest of the younger generation of the Jiang family had settled down in Sidoni. As for Jiang Qingfeng and those stubborn old guys, Jiang Tian did not bother to pay attention to them. After seeing that there were not many old friends in Jinlin City, Jiang Tian took a detour to Yanjin to meet Li Wuji. Soon, Jiang Tian's private jet landed at Yanjin International Airport. There were many old friends there, but Jiang Tian did not want to see them again. He took a Rolls-Royce Phantom from Zhang Yilin, who greeted him, and drove to the Huaxia Long Formations base in the suburbs of Yanjin. As soon as he arrived at the base, Jiang Tian felt that something was not right. People came and went. There were soldiers, martial arts experts, sorcery experts, superpowered people, and even helicopters taking off and landing. Are you here to attend the ceremony of the Guardians Alliance? As soon as Jiang Tian got out of the car at the Long Formations base, a handsome girl walked up to him. The ceremony of the Guardians Alliance? Jiang Tian was slightly taken aback. After hearing the girl's explanation, Jiang Tian finally understood. The officials of Huaxia had always kept pace with the times and adapted to changes. In the past, they only used martial arts and spellcasters as tools. Now, they supported them with great fanfare and placed them in a strategic core position, as if they were developing a large-scale industry. After all, they already knew that after the recovery of spirit chi, in addition to modern technology, this blue planet would open another door. The door of cultivation. In the future, humans would also face crueler competition. Now, the importance of super combat forces such as the Huaxiaolong Formation, the Martial Arts Alliance, and the War Dragon in the military had been raised to an unprecedented level. In the battle against the Brahmin and the Holy See, the Huaxiaolong Formation had lost many experts, including captains, commanders, and even the 4 spiritual generals and the group of 8. Therefore, this time, under the leadership of the officials, the original Huaxiaolong Formation, the current Huaxia Guardians Alliance, had expanded to tens of thousands of people and held a large martial arts competition. The Kunlun sect, the Huaxiaolong Formation, the Martial Arts Alliance, and many reclusive royalty, as well as the outstanding figures in the military, all participated. They changed their name and formed the Huaxia Guardians Alliance. At present, the Guardians Alliance had selected new spiritual generals, troops, and many captains to deal with the possible recovery of spirit chi and the world of great changes. Jiang Tian came here only to meet up with Li Wuji. He didn't expect to run into a ceremony. If that was the case, wouldn't he meet many old friends? Thinking of this, a trace of hesitation appeared on Jiang Tian's face. "Senior, come in quickly. I'll take you to the training ground for the ceremony," the girl invited warmly. Jiang Tian took out the invitation, but the girl didn't take it. She waved her hand and said, "This time, the Kunlun sect issued an anonymous hero's invitation. Any martial Dao expert or person with special abilities could take part in it. Let's go." This showed the generosity of the Long Formation. They opened the door widely and didn't hide anything. They weren't afraid of anyone sneaking in and causing trouble. After all, the Long Formation was backed by the famous Kang Te-chu. Who dared to provoke him? Okay. Jiang Tian nodded in agreement. At this time, he had an ordinary appearance. Although he looked handsome, he didn't have a divine appearance, so he probably wouldn't attract too much attention. It would be good to see those acquaintances from afar. "Senior, my name is Qing Lulu. I was selected from the Jinling Military District. I'm now a member of the 12th team of the Huaxiaolong Formation. What's your name? What sect are you from?" The little girl was very young and energetic. She had delicate features, but she was heroic and had the unique vigor of a soldier. "I'm an overseas itinerant cultivator. My surname is Jiang. As for my sect, you wouldn't know even if I told you." Jiang Tian smiled faintly and didn't want to make it public. "Oh." Qing Lulu showed an understanding expression and didn't ask any more questions. After all, the month-long competition had already ended. All the outstanding contestants had been selected and were about to be awarded military ranks and positions. Jiang Tian obviously wasn't here to participate in the competition. He was probably an ordinary martial artist who wanted to broaden his horizons. Qing Lulu thought as she introduced the Huaxiaolong Formation to Jiang Tian. She also expressed that she hoped that Jiang Tian would participate in the next selection. He still had a chance. Jiang Tian suddenly realized that she and Qing Tian looked similar. She also had a good foundation. He couldn't help but be moved. He asked, "Do you have any soldiers in your family?" "My family is a military family. My sister is called Qing Tian. She was a member of the Battle Dragon Legion and was taught by Kang Te-chu." She puffed out her chest and looked proud. As she spoke, her face suddenly darkened. Tears flickered in her beautiful eyes and she was about to cry. She said bitterly, "It's a pity that she has sacrificed herself." Qing Tian, a member of the Battle Dragon Legion, had sacrificed herself in the battle to stop Qiao Bin, a Russian winter soldier. At that time, Jiang Tian was in seclusion in Southeast Asia and was too far away to help. He had always felt regretful about this. At that moment, Jiang Tian's impression of the girl who was always afraid of being slapped in the face but was also tenacious and fearless. Her face overlapped with the girl in front of him. It was as if a lifetime had passed. Jiang Tian couldn't help but sigh in his heart. This was Huaxia. This was the demeanor of a Huaxia soldier. They weren't afraid of sacrifice or death. The wildfire couldn't burn them down, and they would grow again when the spring breeze blew. When one person fell, more people would stand up. This kind of self-improvement and fearless spirit was the backbone of the Huaxia people. It was also the secret of Huaxia standing among the nations of the world. You are a martial artist. Then do you know Ing Su, Zhu Shaochen, Lady Wu, and Li Guangkou? Cheng Tian counted with her fingers and said, they are the best players this time. They are so powerful. Almost all of them are at the divine realm. They have become the new 4 spiritual generals. I've heard of them. Jiang Tian nodded and then frowned. But as far as I know, not all of the 4 spiritual generals were sacrificed, right? It seems that Vermilion Bird is still alive. But she can't beat Lady Wu, so she has to give up her position now. Cheng Tian explained and then said with a look of admiration, Senior Ji Muxian of the Kunlun sect said that the capable will rise and the mediocre will fall. He wants to build a brand new long formation. Now these members of the reclusive royalty have the opportunity to cultivate in the Kunlun sect. They have the triple identity of reclusive royalty, a disciple of the Kunlun sect, and a general of the Guardians League. Li Wuji, that old guy, is so fast. Changing the bird? In the future, the Guardians League will really be run by your family. Jiang Tian smiled faintly, but he snorted coldly in his heart. Chapter 1081. That's right. You are an itinerant cultivator from overseas. It's normal that you don't know about Huaxia's reclusive royalty. Then you should know Sita Shao, right? I heard that he is Kang Teichu's disciple. I am a loyal fan of Kang Teichu. Cheng Tian asked curiously. Well, I know him. Jiang Tian rubbed his nose and said. Cheng Lulu, didn't I ask you to pick up the host of Huangjue Temple at the airport? Why are you still here? While he was talking, a girl in a Taoist robe walked toward them. There were 2 small words embroidered on her chest, Kunlun. She had a tall figure, a pretty appearance, a tall chest, and a slender waist. But her gaze was sharp like a blade, and a strand of the formidable pressure of a god-rank realm expert emanated from her, causing others to instantly feel apprehensive in their hearts and feel fear. She was born in Kunlun and was an immortal state overlord. She was only in her 20s and she was beautiful. She might even outshine the old Vermilion Bird. This senior is an itinerant cultivator from overseas. He knows Sita Shao. I saw that he was Lu Sheng and wanted to take him to the hall. Sure enough, Cheng Lulu's imposing manner weakened by 30%, and she timidly mumbled. An itinerant cultivator from overseas? You know Sita Shao. Are you from the Hong sect? The female disciple of Kunlun asked arrogantly. Well, you can say that. Jiang Tian smiled and said. But, the ceremony is about to start, and there are no more seats. Do you think you can stand and watch the ceremony? This Kunlun realm female disciple sized up Jiang Tian and said with some difficulty. Jiang Tian was indeed handsome. She didn't feel the powerful energy of a normal martial artist from Jiang Tian. She thought that he was just an ordinary cultivator and was only there to watch the ceremony. You are a female disciple of Kunlun. What's your name? You should know Yi Karen. What is her cultivation level now? Jiang Tian asked, declining to comment. His vision had gone beyond a country and a sect. He was involved in the competition between different worlds and the fate of the Earth's civilization. At his level, why would he be entangled with these little dolls? No matter what kind of achievements Ing Su and the others had made, in his eyes, they were not worth mentioning, just like passing clouds. My name is Yi Yuhui. Yi Karen is our eldest senior sister. She has already surpassed the deity realm. This woman felt that Jiang Tian should have some background, so she didn't dare to offend him. Since you're my senior sister's friend, I'll arrange a seat for you in our Kunlun sect. What do you think? Yi Karen and I can't be considered friends. Jiang Tian gently shook his head. Yi Karen's grandfather was his disciple. She could only be considered his junior. Hearing those words, Yi Yuhui's face immediately turned cold. He was a little impatient and was too lazy to bother with Jiang Tian. Jiang Tian instantly sent a voice transmission to Li Wuji in the depths of the encampment with his divine sense. I'm here to look for a friend. I've already informed him. He will come out to see me. There's no need to trouble him. With that, Jiang Tian turned around and left unhurriedly. His face was neither sad nor happy. He probably just heard of senior sister Ye's name, or he's her admirer. Oh. The ceremony has begun. Seeing this, Yi Yuhui didn't take Jiang Tian seriously. Hearing the applause in the training ground, she immediately left Jiang Tian aside and hurried over. Cheng Lulu accompanied Jiang Tian out and comforted Jiang Tian. Don't mind it. One day, you will be as powerful as them. You drove a Rolls-Royce Phantom here. It seems that you have some family background. The poor study while the rich practice martial arts. With money, you have a foundation. If you work hard, you will definitely be able to cultivate well. This old Rolls-Royce is my cousin's. Jiang Tian laughed and said. This time, Cheng Lulu didn't know how to respond. At that moment, Ying Su and the others were enjoying the admiration and cheers of the public. The country had placed high hopes on them. Not only could Jiang Tian not compare to them, but there were not many people in the world who could. All right. You don't have to comfort me, little girl. I'm strong. Jiang Tian patted the girl's head and said with a smile. Oh. Can you give me your contact information? Cheng Lulu was still a little reluctant. For some reason, she felt that Jiang Tian's gaze was warm and tender. That kind of warm gaze had nothing to do with romance. It was more like a senior looking at a junior or a big brother looking at a little girl. Forget it. We'll meet again if fate wills it. Jiang Tian's words made Cheng Lulu feel a little disappointed, but then Jiang Tian said with a smile, Here, I have a small gift for you. Jiang Tian put his hand into his pocket and pretended to rummage. Then, he took out a manual of the 3 pure foundational arts and stuffed it into the girl's hand. Cultivate it yourself. Don't teach it to others. You must follow my example and surpass me. Then, he floated away. A few minutes later, Jiang Tian went to a tea house near the base. He drank tea while waiting for Li Wuji's arrival. Whether it was the reclusive royalty or the Kunlun sect, they were not under his direct control. The Kunlun sect even wanted to compete with him. Ji Muxian had even begun to substantially weaken the power of the Huaxiaolong formation. However, Jiang Tian still planned to give them a chance. After all, it was not easy for those orthodoxies and descendants to survive until now. They were also the crystallization of the cultivation civilization of the ancient Huaxia. Now, almost all the famous mountains and orthodoxies were on the verge of extinction. Moreover, in the face of a great enemy, humans should be united. As long as there was a chance to save them, Jiang Tian would not kill them. Of course, if they refused to come to their senses, Jiang Tian would not be merciful. Jiang Tian had just left. There was a burst of enthusiastic applause in the training ground. The Kunlun sect leader, Ji Muxian, announced the winners one by one. Ying Su, Li Guangkou, Zhu Shaochen, Lady Wu, and the others had become the new 4 spiritual generals of the Long formation. Many of them would also have the opportunity to cultivate in Kunlun. Chao Shixiang also represented the higher-ups of Huaxia to congratulate them for resisting the invasion of the Brahmin and the Holy See at the Lansang River. Ying Su and the others walked onto the stage. Their faces were filled with brilliant light, and their eyes were filled with pride. The military representative Chao Shixiang, the Kunlun sect leader, Ji Muxian, and the leader of the Long formation, Yi Zhantian, issued them certificates and wore the insignia of the Long formation and the Kunlun sect. The Kunlun sect was a real paradise that had produced countless overlords. For example, the most powerful overlord in Huaxia, Yi Tianren, used to be their world wayfarer. The ancestors of Zhu Shaochen and the others had the help of the ruins of immortality and the multidimensional worlds to establish dynasties and left a rich mark in the history books. But in the Age of Doom, they were not as good as they used to be and were even excluded by the government. But from now on, things were different. The world was about to change, and they were about to step onto the stage of history and become the mainstay of Huaxia, writing a new chapter. Ingsu, I heard that he has surpassed the immortal state at such a young age, and he is practicing a completely different Dharma access. He was the one who led the reclusive royalty to stop the invaders of the Holy See and the Brahmin at the Lansang River. Zhu Shaochen is also amazing. He is a disciple of the Huangjue Temple. The strength of the Huangjue Temple is actually not inferior to the semi-hidden sects like Wudang and Shu Mountain. It's just that they are a royal temple, so they don't show their strength. Li Kuangkol is so handsome. He is indeed a descendant of the Tang dynasty's royal family. I heard that Lady Wu is worth tens of billions. The moon in the sky group belongs to her family. Legend has it that she is a descendant of Wu Zetian. The royal family is indeed the royal family. They have a deep heritage. Ordinary people can't compare to them. At that moment, many overlords below the stage looked at the people on the stage with excitement and envy. Especially many female martial artists. Their eyes were shining, and their full breasts were heaving violently. They were like fanatical little fangirls who saw their idol surpassing the immortal state, becoming a tyrant, reaching the top of the Huaxia overlords list, and protecting the country were the lifelong goals of many martial artists. And they had achieved it at such a young age. At the entrance of the training ground, Qing Lulu's eyes lit up after seeing Jiang Tian's Dharma access. She could not believe it. It was a completely different cultivation system, and it seemed to be more advanced than many of the Dharma access techniques she had seen before. He's an expert. Qing Lulu was suddenly shocked and muttered, an overseas itinerant cultivator who knows Situ Xiao and Yi Karen. It can't be him, right? Thinking of this, she was so excited that her whole body trembled. She immediately ran to the training ground and found Yi Karen, who was watching the ceremony in the front row below the stage. Yi Karen was wearing a red Taoist robe. She looked even more radiant and dazzling than before. In fact, the Kunlun sect was a cultivation Dharma access technique. Although the inheritance was incomplete, Yi Karen had already changed from ancient martial arts to cultivation and reached the first level of foundation establishment. She was the first genius disciple in the Kunlun sect to step into foundation establishment before the age of 30 in hundreds of years. Senior Sister Karen. Qing Lulu said in a trembling voice, I think I saw someone just now. I think it was Kang Teichu. Yi Karen's beautiful eyes lit up. Her delicate body trembled slightly, and then she exclaimed in a low voice, it can't be. He's already back. He's back from the heavenly dimension. Come with me to report to the Grand Master. Chapter 1082. Jiang Tian had returned from killing enemies in the heavenly realm. Only the heads of the various countries and the top higher-ups knew about it. Many people thought that Jiang Tian might have died in the heavenly realm. When Yi Karen heard the news, she immediately understood that Jiang Tian might have taken over the heavenly realm and become the ruler of the world. This was a big news. How could she not be excited and shocked? Disciple greets Grandmaster. Yi Karen hurriedly left the venue with Qing Lulu and saw Li Wuji standing outside the door with his hands behind his back, as if waiting for someone. She immediately bowed. Disciple greets the former sect leader of the Kunlun sect. Qing Lulu was even more nervous and uneasy. In her eyes, he was like a living immortal. Li Wuji's face was calm as he said slowly, Kang Teichu has arrived. He is now at the Qingxi tea house. Let's go see him. After saying that, he soared into the sky. Yes. Yi Karen's face was slightly shocked. She released her flying sword and stepped on it. With a swoosh, she disappeared into the sky. Oh my god, Kunlun is really powerful. That flying sword, that movement technique, it's really like a god. Oh my god, he is really Kang Tae-chu. He even gave me a set of cultivation techniques. Cheng Tian was so excited that her soul was shaking. She couldn't even stand steadily. But after a while, she understood. Jiang Tian must have helped her because she was her sister and Cheng Tian was once his disciple. Sigh, my sister once said that Kang Tae-chu was very cold. After the training with Battle Dragon, he didn't let them call him master anymore. Now it seems that he is actually very warm. Yes, after my sister died, the charity fund of the Medicine King Group, Old Master Jiang Changgang, once gave my family hundreds of thousands of yuan to treat my old and sick parents, buy a house, and hire a nanny. Cheng Lulu clenched the cultivation technique book tightly in her hand and murmured, moreover, it is said that he is extremely vicious and will kill people and destroy countries. In fact, he is very warm. He even touched my head. Cheng Lulu, you must work hard to cultivate and protect Huaxia. You can't let him down. Cheng Lulu's clear and beautiful eyes flickered with tears, but her gaze was incomparably firm. Jiang Tian soon met up with Li Wuji and Yi Karen. Disciple greets immortal Master Jiang. Yi Karen bowed deeply, but her pair of beautiful shining eyes looked up, sizing up Jiang Tian. Her feelings toward Jiang Tian were very complicated. She was in awe and respect at the same time. She was a very proud person. In the past, she had thought that she could surpass Jiang Tian if she joined Kunlun. But now, Jiang Tian was already a person who could stand shoulder to shoulder with the former Kunlun supreme leader. Even if Ji Muxian saw him, he would have to lower his head and bow to show his respect, for fear of neglecting him. After all, Jiang Tian had already conquered two-dimensional worlds. Before this was something that no one dared to even think about. It had only been a few years, but it felt like a lifetime had passed. Get up. Jiang Tian chuckled and then looked at Li Wuji with a smile. Fellow Taoist Wuji, you are very lucky to have such a talented disciple. Envious? Li Wuji acted as if he was meeting an old friend and didn't feel distant at all. He sat down opposite Jiang Tian and said with a smile, if you are envious, you can take her in as your disciple. This penniless Taoist still needs to thank you. Jiang Tian didn't comment and said indifferently, in my opinion, on this trip to West Earth, reclusive royalty should also bring a few people along. Jiang Tian knew that Li Wuji might have ulterior motives, but he still planned to give him a chance. He also hoped that the reclusive royalty would realize how strong he was and strengthen his confidence so that he wouldn't be easily bewitched by Li Wuji. Speed is crucial in war. If we bring too many people, we won't be able to protect ourselves and will instead be troublesome. Li Wuji frowned. Jiang Tian smiled and insisted. I think Lady Wu is not bad. Li Wuji smiled bitterly and could only nod. While Jiang Tian was drinking tea and chatting with Li Wuji and Yi Karen at the Qingxi Tea House, in the Guiyan Lake Clubhouse not far from the Huaxiaolong Formation Base, Ying Su, Li Kuangkou, Lady Wu, Zhu Shaochen, and other members of the royal family gathered there. Many high-ranking officials and financial group leaders accompanied them. Everyone who was participating in this ceremony was called over. Even service and logistics personnel like Yi Yuhui and Cheng Lulu were invited to participate. As for Ji Muxian, Yingying Laozu, the old monk of Huangjue Temple, and the others, they had noble statuses and seniority, so they didn't participate. It could be said that this was a gathering of the most outstanding and powerful young people in Huaxia other than Tianqing School. However, even if Ying Su had surpassed the immortal state, he wasn't the strongest among them. The most powerful were the elite disciples of the Kunlun sect. Among them, there was a slender and handsome young man who attracted a lot of attention. He had already reached the first level of the foundation establishment. He was the senior brother of the Kunlun sect and Ji Muxian's son, Ji Mingchuan. Yuhui, invite Yi Karen here. Ji Mingchuan sat in the middle and said with a smile. Okay. Yi Yuhui quickly took out his phone. A few female disciples beside her revealed looks of jealousy. Ji Mingchuan might become the sect master in the future, but he had always liked Yi Karen and turned a blind eye to the other junior sisters. Ha, Yuhui, you're really something. You're using the latest Apple phone. Ji Mingchuan laughed. Yi Yuhui smiled awkwardly and started to talk to Yi Karen. Young people were very adaptable. They used to live in the dimension world formed by the array and cultivated in seclusion. They didn't even touch a mobile phone or a computer. After coming out of seclusion, they realized the richness of the mortal world. They learned how to use a mobile phone and a computer in an instant, and they all had different hairstyles and styles. When Ji Mingchuan was outside, he would wear a custom-made Armani suit. Yi Yuhui also took off his Taoist robe. His current appearance was no different from the fashionable girls in the modern city. Senior brother, the mortal world may be filthy, but gadgets like mobile phones and computers are very convenient. Next to him was a young man with an even more exaggerated appearance. His hair was dyed in all sorts of colors, making him look like a parrot. Coincidentally, his name was Ying Wu, so everyone gave him the nickname of Parrot. In fact, he was also a descendant of the royal Ying family and was Ying Su's cousin. He had been cultivating in the Kunlun sect since he was young. Ying Su, you did well this time. Senior Muxian personally taught you a technique. Your future is limitless. Zhu Shaoqin said enviously. You did well too. You have an elder's personal disciple. Ying Su smiled, but there was still a trace of pride in the depths of his eyes. In the end, I can't compare to the personal disciple of the sect leader. Zhu Shaoqin said politely. Li Guangkou said, Zhu Shaoqin, you have to be content. I heard that the granddaughter of one of the founding fathers has taken a fancy to you. You can train in the Guardians Alliance and make meritorious contributions. With the support of your father-in-law, you will enter an important department of the country in the future. Maybe you will become a governor or even the central government. Now, the news that the world might change was no longer a secret in the top upper-class society of Huaxia. Promoted by high-ranking officials, invested by plutocrats, or guided by scholars, various research institutions popped up like bamboo shoots after a spring rain, such as the Pre-Qin Research Institute, Bodhi Biology, and God-Making Technology. Those well-informed influential forces had already started to make arrangements for this matter, which was equivalent to a risky investment. Zhu Xiaoqin's political marriage was such a situation. Although the world's great changes sounded incredible and the probability of it being realized was slim, they had many influential families. However, the rich and powerful families had many descendants. If they pushed out a girl to marry him, they would be able to take the initiative in the future great changes in the world. This investment was also a small capital and a huge profit. Moreover, as the descendants of the great Ming dynasty's royal family, the Zhu family had a deep heritage and considerable assets. Any great historical change was like this. Most ordinary people and the commoners had no idea about the upcoming changes. However, the rich and powerful could rely on their advantage of information and resources. They were like ducks that knew when the spring water was warm. They could take advantage of all opportunities and stand firm. Zhu Shaoqin smiled but said nothing. How was his ambition limited to this? If one day he ascended to the ruins of immortality, he would be able to transcend this world and become an immortal or a god. He would not exchange it for an emperor. However, he wouldn't say these words to anyone. Now, within Huaxia, those who understood the dimensional world had formed many factions and thoughts. One was the fantasy, hoping that the powerhouses of the ruins of immortality would descend and help Huaxia enter a new stage. The other was to divide the ruins of immortality and unite with the peace faction of the ruins of immortality to suppress the factions that intended to attack Earth. The most radical and extreme faction was Jiang Tian, who wanted to brandish a knife to the sky, blow up everything, and destroy the ruins of immortality. However, for now, Jiang Tian's thoughts were the mainstream. Besides, even if Jiang Tian personally held this view, Zhu Shaoqin did not dare to say it out loud. If it reached the ears of Tianqing school, wouldn't he be trampled to death by Jiang Tian and his disciples? Jiang Taichu is nothing more than a vicious and merciless man who has seized many cultivation resources. However, the Kunlun sect has a deep foundation. I'm afraid it has more than the Holy See and Brahman combined. After I enter, I might be able to catch up to him after 10 or 20 years of hard work. It would be even better if I could contact the ruins of immortality. Zhu Xiaoqin's ambition was fierce, and the muscles on his shoe-shaped face twitched slightly, looking very determined. Chapter 1083. Among the crowd, only the martial demon Nyang had an awkward expression on her face. She seemed unhappy. Cheng Lulu didn't understand. She pulled a colleague aside and asked, "She's the new vermilion bird. Why didn't she go?" That colleague said, "She made one wrong move," and so on. She was too close to Kang Taechu, so she didn't have the chance to enter the Kunlun sect. Remember that. The cultivation world of Huaxia will be very complicated in the future. You must follow the most powerful person closely. Cheng Lulu didn't quite understand. At this time, Yi Yuhui's right hand slipped and his phone fell to the ground. His face was pale. "Senior Sister Yi, even if you dropped your phone, you don't have to be so sad, right?" Zhu Xiaoqin said with a smile. "Yi Karen, she's not coming," Yi Yuhui said with a trembling voice. Ji Mingchuan's face darkened. A trace of hatred flashed in his eyes, but he didn't explode. Next to him, a beautiful junior sister comforted him, "It's okay if she's not coming. Maybe we can meet tonight." Ji Mingchuan asked, "Who's with her? Why isn't she coming?" Ying Wu asked from the side. "She has guests to accompany. She told us to eat by ourselves." Yi Yuhui replied with a dull look. What kind of friend is more important than eldest senior brother Ji Mingchuan? Ying Wu said half flatteringly and half unhappily. In Huaxia, who among the younger generation can compare to our eldest senior brother in terms of status and strength? Beside him, everyone laughed loudly and echoed his words. It's Jiang. Kang Taechu. Yi Yuhui said in shock. As soon as the name came out, it seemed to be magical. In an instant, the spacious room became silent. Many people's faces were filled with horror, shock, and horror. "Who?" Ying Su asked in disbelief. "Kang Taechu." Yi Yuhui said dejectedly, "He just came to the base, but he hid his identity. Cheng Lulu and I didn't recognize him." This time, no one said anything. Everyone present more or less had some relationship with Jiang Tian. He came back alive. He took down another arcane realm. Zhu Xiaoqin's smile was uglier than his crying face. It can't be a lie. It's not that easy to take down the heavenly realm. Li Guangkou also couldn't believe it. The experts of the dimensional world were high and mighty like gods. Once they stepped into the dimensional world, they would be able to flatten the entire earth. Throughout history, even their ancestors had been manipulated by the multidimensional worlds like puppets. As for the Kingdom of Heaven, it was said to be the legendary heaven. Its full name was the Kingdom of Heaven's Sacred Hall. The Holy See, which had been glorious for 2,000 years, was merely their preacher in the human world. They didn't even dare to imagine how powerful the Heavenly Kingdom's dimensional world was. It was probably second only to the ruins of immortality. But now, he had gone, and he had returned alive. Yes. Yes. Maybe Yi Karen is just joking. A female disciple on the side said. She felt that Kang Taechu was a huge shadow that could cover the sky. The moment his name was mentioned, even the radiant Ji Mingchuan's face darkened, and his eyes turned gloomy. It should be him. At this time, Cheng Lulu said timidly, "He talked to me and said he knew Yi Karen. He also asked about my sister." "Oh, my sister is Cheng Tian Tian. She used to serve in the War Dragon Army. She's his unofficial disciple." It's really him. After the exclamation, the whole place was dead silent. Everyone kept their mouths shut. Even Ji Mingchuan didn't dare to say a word. Kang Taechu, the man who destroyed two major Brahmin orthodoxies of the Holy See and crushed the European reclusive royalty, came back. "I think I understand why Yi Karen didn't find a boyfriend. I'm afraid it's not as simple as being obsessed with cultivation. Lady Wu suddenly said with a faint smile. Ji Mingchuan's face was gloomy, but he didn't say a word and drank the wine in his cup. Zhu Xiaochen was Ji Mingchuan's lackey. He grinned and said, Lady Wu, you don't seem to know how to talk. You're not even a Kunlun disciple. You don't have the qualifications to participate in this gathering. Get out. I can leave. But please take back your words. Madame Martial Demon stood up, her berserk aura erupting as she said coldly. Hey, witch. Do you want to fight with me? This place is too small. Get out. Zhu Xiaochen also looked arrogant. Now that he was a Kunlun disciple, he thought he had a backer and didn't put Lady Wu in his eyes. The martial demon Nyang was about to step out and fight him. Yi Yuhui immediately said, Lady Wu, Kang Teichu invited you to Qingxi Tea House. It seems he has a mission for you. As soon as he said this, Zhu Xiaochen suddenly froze on the spot. He was so shocked that he broke out in cold sweat. His face was pale. He couldn't go out and fight, nor could he sit down. He wanted to cry but had no tears. Damn it. Yi Yuhui, what do you want to say? Can't you say it all in one breath? Zhu Xiaochen, do you still dare to fight with me now? Lady Wu sneered. How could Zhu Xiaochen dare? He wouldn't dare even if he had 100 guts. Lady Wu was the person that Jiang Tian wanted. Even if Lady Wu stood there motionless, Zhu Xiaochen wouldn't dare to touch her. Otherwise, he would end up like the Jin family. His entire family would be exterminated and not even a chicken or dog would be left alive. Zhu Xiaochen, sit down. We're all Huaxia's reclusive royalty. Why do you have to be unhappy? Ying Wu laughed and helped him out. Zhu Xiaochen sat down and said with a forced smile, Lady Wu, I'm just joking with you. Why are you so agitated? It's not easy for you to find a boyfriend with your hot temper. After Lady Wu left. Except for Qing Lulu, who was secretly happy and excited. This gathering suddenly became dull and boring to everyone. Everyone's hearts were heavy, as if a big stone was pressing down on them. It was difficult for them to breathe. Seeing this, Qing Lulu was puzzled. She asked boldly, Isn't Kang Teichu at the same level as you? Is he more powerful than you? Kang Teichu is much more powerful than us. They're not at the same level at all. Li Guangkou drank a glass of wine. He was drunk and hazy. He shook his head and smiled bitterly. He's the ruler of the 3 realms. He's like a dragon in the sky. We're just a bunch of ants compared to him. We're just fighting for a few grains of rice. Hearing that Jiang Tian had returned, Zhu Xiaochen's hot blood turned colder than a pile of cow dung in winter. His face was full of dejection and bleakness. He said sadly, he actually obtained another realm. I'm afraid we won't be able to catch up to him even if we chase him for another 100 years or even 1,000 years. Ji Muxian once said that the Kunlun sect will guide the recovery of spirit qi. When the time comes, it will be a chaotic era where heroes rise together. I might be able to catch up to Kang Teichu. Among the many descendants of the royal family, only Ying Su had a resolute face. A trace of fighting spirit appeared in his eyes. A thought emerged in his mind. Jiang Tian's back as he passed through the gate of holy light and ascended to the sky was too dazzling. It covered the sun in his world and made a shadow appear in his heart. It shrouded the world and made him unable to see the sun. Only when I surpass Kang Teichu will the shadow in my heart fade away. Although he knew that his hope was extremely slim. Chapter 1084. While Ying Su and the others were still having a gathering, Lady Wu had already arrived at Jiang Tian's side. Immortal Master Jiang, may I know why you called for an outsider like me? When Lady Wu saw Jiang Tian, she bowed respectfully but still forced a joke. Her personality was originally carefree and unrestrained. However, when she saw Jiang Tian, she couldn't help but feel a chill down her spine. After all, the person in front of her was a great demon who could easily kill tens of thousands of people and stop at nothing. Outsider was what Jiang Tian had called her when he first met her at the Lansang River. She used it to mock Jiang Tian because of her personality. However, she definitely wouldn't dare to call Jiang Tian little brother and call herself big sister anymore. "We're going to West Earth," Jiang Tian said. "I'll bring you along." West Earth? The dimensional world. Lady Wu's eyes were filled with shock. "But there's a dimensional passage there. Do you have a way to open it?" When Jiang Tian went to Star World, he caught them off guard and took down the Heavenly Transcendence Nunnery, snatching the array pestle to activate it. The second time he went to the Heavenly State Mystic Realm was because the so-called True God had already opened the light teleportation door. But now, the Death Hill had returned to silence. There had been no movement for several months, which meant that the teleportation door to West Earth had been closed. Moreover, the Death Hill might be a one-way teleportation door that couldn't reach West Earth at all. "It's fine," Jiang Tian said calmly. "I naturally have a way to open it." Under Jiang Tian's orders, Cao Shixiang immediately instructed the military to send a helicopter to pick them up. Then, the four of them boarded Jiang Tian's private plane and went straight to the Death Hill in India. After boarding Jiang Tian's private plane, Lady Wu couldn't help but sigh. Immortal Master Jiang is really good at enjoying life. Her assets were also considered huge. The Sun and Moon Corporation was one of the top 10 invisible tycoons in Huaxia, but compared to Jiang Tian, it paled in comparison. At this moment, Yi Karen interrupted, "Immortal Master Jiang, how's the situation in West Earth? Are you really confident in taking it down?" Yi Karen was already considered an elite disciple and had the opportunity to interact directly with senior experts like Li Wuji and Ji Muxian. From their conversation, West Earth was abnormally powerful. Experts were as common as clouds, and they were unshakable. Yi Karen's ears were almost worn out. Even though she was naturally proud and unyielding, at this moment, she still felt a little uncertain. There was nothing he could do about it. This was a completely different world. West Earth is a fragment from the Southeast Asian era of ancient Earth. Its area is equivalent to 2 Huaxias. It has a population of more than 1 billion, more than 10 countries of various sizes, and hundreds of cities. It is an important place for Buddhism. The Changxing sect, which stands behind the Brahmin, is only ranked 5th there. Currently, the most powerful forces in West Earth are the Golden Rock Temple on Mount Layin, the Fire Worship sect in Fenchen Valley, the Tingyu Tower on Azure Mountain, the Hahuan sect on Chonglu Mountain, and so on. Jiang Tian said unhurriedly. This information was obtained from Kasyapa Guru's mind. At this moment, he didn't hide anything. Important place for Buddhism. There are very few top-notch Buddhist cultivators in Huaxia. Yi Karen cried out in alarm. Jiang Tian smiled slightly and didn't comment. In fact, although Buddhist cultivators were inferior to cultivators in the universe, it was also a great cultivation tradition. There were also thousands of Buddhas in this world, his world, and the boundless worlds. The theories and paths of cultivation were even more varied. Especially in resisting calamities and temptations, there were even more innovative ways. Buddhist cultivators had great divine powers and immeasurable merit. They could form sariras through precepts and wisdom, which were completely different from the golden core formed by the essence, qi, and spirit of cultivators. However, they had wisdom, energy, psychokinesis, and merit. They could even form a golden body and many dharma forms. They could compete with the top cultivators. Suddenly, Jiang Tian smiled and said, "Fellow Taoist Wuji, I used to think that the legends of the ancient times were all made up. But now, I feel that many legends at least have a prototype, and they aren't groundless." "Oh. Why do you say that, fellow Taoist Taichu?" Li Wuji asked in surprise. Jiang Tian sipped his red wine and said, "In the world of heaven, I saw the descendants of the great shaman Ho-I from the Cheong clan." "What?" As soon as these words came out, Lady Wu and Yi Karen were shocked. Fellow Taoist Tai Chu, the legends of immortals are illusory. I think that we should be down to earth, based on earth, and work hard to improve. Don't have any illusions. Li Wuji smiled and said, how can you be so sure that they must be the descendants of the great shaman Ho Yi? In short, can someone say that he is the descendant of the great shaman and that he can deduce the existence of Ho Yi and many ancient true gods? Jiang Tian said, I'm just thinking that if many myths and legends are true, then your Kunlun sect is the legendary home of the gods and also the Taoist sect of the Taishang Lao Jun, one of the three pure ones. And the heavenly court of the Tao sects is also rumored to be in the ruins of immortality. You can't be related to the ruins of immortality and the heavenly court, right? Immortal Master Jiang, you must be joking. Li Wuji's face stiffened and he smiled. These myths and legends are all deduced by the Tao sects themselves. How can you take them seriously? I only know that our Kunlun sect was born in the pre-Qin dynasty. After the ups and downs of history and continuous wars, the inheritance is intermittent. I don't even know who the ancestor is. How can it be related to the ruins of immortality? That's good. Jiang Tian chuckled and said meaningfully, even if you have the ruins of immortality as your backing, it is inevitable that you will be controlled and ordered by others. To put it bluntly, you are like a lackey. Let's not talk about it. What we cultivators pursue is to roam the world and seek freedom, liberation, and perfection. Even if you are an ordinary person, you should be able to do whatever you want. You should not be afraid of power or experts, and you should not be stuck in things. Being an indomitable mortal is better than being a lackey of the heavenly court's ruins of immortality, don't you think so? What fellow Taoist Tai Chu said makes sense. Li Wuji bowed slightly and looked very humble. Fellow Taoist Wuji, we are fortunate to fight side by side today. It is also a favor. Jiang Tian smiled and said, fellow Taoist, it's best if you don't associate yourself with the ruins of immortality. Otherwise, don't blame me for falling out with you. I will kill all the henchmen of the ruins of immortality. How is that possible? Li Wuji forced a smile. I just like to say the ugly things first. Jiang Tian chuckled and was just casually criticizing Li Wuji. If he didn't admit it, Jiang Tian wouldn't force him. Lady Wu asked worriedly, there are many overlords in West Earth. How powerful are they? Jiang Tian said calmly, almost all of the above sects have many perfected immortals. Perfected immortals? What level are they at? It was the first time Yi Karen had heard of such a thing. Golden Core. Jiang Tian said. Immortal Master Jiang, are you confident? It's not just a golden core. Yi Karen had heard about the golden core from Yi Tianren in his sect. It was much more powerful than his grandpa and Li Wuji. His expression changed. It's okay. Jiang Tian smiled confidently and said, in less than 3 months, we will definitely be able to destroy the Changshan sect and suppress West Earth. Hearing that, Yi Karen and Lady Wu were shocked. Even Li Wuji shook his head and smiled wryly. Jiang Tian's words were too full of himself. How could it be so easy to fight in this world? While they were talking, Jiang Tian's plane had arrived above the Death Hill. Jiang Tian asked the pilot to hover the plane a few hundred meters above and then jumped down and landed. Although Li Wuji, Lady Wu, and Yi Karen weren't as powerful as Jiang Tian, this height was nothing for them, so they followed suit. Master. Seeing Jiang Tian and the others arrive, Tang Linglong quickly ran out of the barracks and came to Jiang Tian, bowing respectfully. Tang Linglong's skin was tanned, but he looked energetic. Ever since the Death Hill broke out and the 3 West Earth Masters invaded Earth, he had been leading an army of 300,000 soldiers to the Death Hill, waiting for the arrival of the Masters to kill them immediately. At this time, Jiang Tian was dressed in white and his face was glowing. He had a righteous aura. She was amazed. It seemed that Master had gained a lot of benefits from the battle in the Heavenly Kingdom and had made some progress. Well done in the battle against the Masters of West Earth. Jiang Tian smiled and glanced at Tang Linglong. Although she wasn't a spirit body and couldn't use many wood magic skills like Huang Linger, she had a good comprehension ability and her cultivation had already reached the first level of the foundation establishment. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to resist the last adjudicator of the Holy See, Saint Ogu, in the Shu Mountain Taoist sect. Is that so, Master? Haha, it's all because of Master. The Kuei-yen is too domineering. You can kill them with one shot. After receiving Jiang Tian's praise, Tang Linglong's heart was sweeter than honey. She felt that all her hard work over the years was worth it. She proudly puffed out her chest and said proudly, Golden Core and Nascent Soul Masters, just come. As long as the Kuei-yen is here, they will all die. On the side, Li Wuji smiled enviously and said, Tai Chu Taoist friend, all the talents in the world have achieved something. I'm so envious. Chapter 1085. Jiang Tian frowned and thought, a Kuei-yen might be able to kill a golden core cultivator, but not a nascent soul cultivator. He said calmly, Ling Long, don't be rash. This is Li Wuji, the former sect master of the Kunlun sect. This is Yi Karen, an elite disciple of the sect. You've met Lady Wu. Why don't you greet them? Tang Linglong stuck out her tongue and hurriedly bowed. Junior greets Senior Wuji and fellow Taoist Yi. Li Wuji waved his hand and asked her to get up. Yi Karen also bowed and said, Ling Long, you've reached the first level of the foundation establishment. Congratulations. She had already entered the immortal state when Jiang Tian fought with Zhang Qianlei, much earlier than Tang Linglong. However, Tang Linglong had caught up with her and her cultivation was higher than hers. This made her secretly admire Tang Linglong, but at the same time, she also had mixed feelings. Who would have thought that Jiang Tian would be able to control a country and a sect and dominate the world? The Tianqing school had also defeated the Holy See and the Brahmin to become an unparalleled sect that could compete with the Kunlun sect. But at this time, looking at Tang Linglong's cultivation level, the Tianqing school was even better than the Kunlun sect in terms of talent and inheritance. Yi Karen, your grandfather Yi Tianren is my senior brother. According to seniority, you should call me Martial Aunt. Tang Linglong said proudly as she raised her eyebrows, feeling smug in her heart. Back then, she was just a member of the Battle Dragon team and was below Chao Shixiang and Tang Hongtu. After she killed the East Sea Fleet, she was expelled from the army and became a criminal. At that time, Yi Karen was already a member of the Condor team and was on par with Beidasheng. She could only look up to the top martial artist of the young generation in Huaxia. Now, she was the sect master of the Ame Taoist sect of the Tianqing school and Yi Tianren's junior sister. He represented Sidoni and was one of the people in charge of the Earth Defense Alliance. Even if Chao Shixiang and Yi Tianren met her, they would have to treat her as an equal, and would not dare to order her around. There was a reason for Tang Linglong's half-joking teasing. Back then, outside the East China Sea of Huaxia, she had cut down the Japanese ships Ao Dao and Dashan with her sword. It was the Condor team who had made things difficult for her and expelled her from the active service. They had even forced Jiang Tian to go to Japan to be punished as a disciple. In fact, this matter was led by Bai Dicheng, the eldest son of the Bai family, a martial arts family in Yanjing. It had nothing to do with Yi Karen, but Tang Linglong didn't like her at first sight. Now that she had Jiang Tian as her backer, she was like a fox exploiting the tiger's might. Although she couldn't fight, she couldn't avoid a few words of sarcasm. Tang Linglong, do you want to compete with me? Yi Karen's eyes turned cold and murderous. This sword is called the Sun-Shrouding Sword. Let's see what Tianqing school is capable of. Suddenly, the sword chi exploded. There was a swoosh. Yi Karen jumped out of the scabbard with a long sword on her back. The moment the sword appeared, the sun in the sky dimmed. The sword let out a wild howl and charged towards Tang Linglong. The sword was as fast as lightning. The distance between the two of them was only a few meters. In the blink of an eye, it arrived in front of Tang Linglong. You're so fierce, you brat. Tang Linglong scowled. She pulled out the finger bone dagger and blocked the attack. There was a series of clanging sounds. It sounded like rain hitting banana leaves. Sparks flew everywhere. Tang Linglong was forced to retreat. What are you guys doing? The enemy is right in front of you, and you're venting your anger on such a trivial matter. Lady Wu wanted to step forward and persuade them. However, after taking a few steps, she felt that her skin was about to split open. She was forced to retreat by the sword Qi. It was obvious that Yi Karen had the upper hand. She could suppress Tang Linglong and Lady Wu. Very good. Kunlun also cultivates true essence. Although it's not a top cultivation method, it's already very condensed. It's far better than a martial artist's true essence. Jiang Tian's face was as calm as still water. His heart skipped a beat. All right. Don't throw a tantrum and make a fool of yourself in front of Tai Chu. Li Wuji smiled and raised his right hand. A vast amount of true core strength pressed down gently, and the two of them were suddenly confined. Let's meet in private next time. We'll find a corner and have a good chat. Tang Linglong knew that she was no match for Yi Karen, so she could only retreat. However, she was not weak with her words. Yi Karen's pretty face was slightly cold. She sneered disdainfully and ignored her. She put her sword back into the scabbard. It's just a draw. What are you so proud of? Tang Linglong snorted coldly. She was not weaker than Yi Karen. However, suddenly, cracks appeared on the finger bone dagger in her hand. Then, it cracked and fell to the ground with a clatter. The finger bone dagger used by Tang Linglong was obtained by Jiang Tian from the treasury of the Dark Parliament. In essence, it came from the Holy See. No one knew which powerful race it was. After Jiang Tian refined it, it became a spirit treasure. Zhao Xueqing had used it for a period of time before. During the Dark Parliament, Zhao Xueqing gave it to her at the Cass River. She had always treasured it very much. She had also used this finger bone dagger to kill a blood ancestor named Cage in the Tulip Mansion in London, England. She had made a name for herself in the international community. Seeing this, Tang Linglong's eyes immediately turned red and she exclaimed, Yi Karen. You give me back my treasure. This spirit treasure dagger was made by Jiang Tian himself. Tang Linglong always kept it with her. Now that it was broken, she couldn't accept it. You're not as good as me. I broke your weapon, and you want me to return it to you. If I kill you, can you make me pay with my life? Yi Karen said mockingly. You. Don't be so arrogant. One day, I will trample you under my feet. Tang Linglong was speechless. She was so angry that she gritted her teeth. Jiang Tian smiled faintly and said, Well, Linglong, don't be so sad. We don't lack this kind of treasure. He patted the sky-devouring magic gourd at his waist, and a sword flew out. Master, what sword is this? Tang Linglong was ecstatic when she saw it. This treasured sword was like a piece of sparkling and translucent jade, emitting a blazing light. Even from far away, one could feel a sense of heat. However, it was exceptionally sharp. Just by looking at it, one could tell that it was much stronger than the finger bone dagger. This is a flying sword I made with the rib bone of the most powerful divine ancestor in the heavenly kingdom dimension. It contains the power of light and surging fire energy. It can be considered a spiritual level treasure. It fits your fiery and hot-tempered personality. If you must name it, I'll call it the Blazing Bone Sword. Jiang Tian flicked his finger. This sword floated in the air in front of Tang Linglong. Tang Linglong grabbed the hilt and waved her hand. A white arc of light about 100 meters long slashed down. Clang! Bam! Beside him, the three tanks had been cut into two. The cut was smooth and smooth. On the ground, the granite melted into flowing water, and flames rose everywhere. What a sharp sword! This strange bone sword is extremely powerful. If it were placed in any sect or royal family, it would be considered a treasure of the sect. Seeing this scene, the martial demoness immediately revealed a look of envy, and even Yi Karen was slightly moved. Master, this sword is so powerful. Tang Linglong was overjoyed. She cheered and kissed Jiang Tian on the cheek. Sai, when I took you in as my disciple, you were already 20 years old. Now, you are 25 years old. You are already an old girl, but you are still not mature at all. Jiang Tian wiped the saliva on his face and sighed helplessly. Next to him, Yi Karen showed a trace of envy in her eyes. Her master was Ji Muxian, and she was also guided by Li Wuji and other seniors. Ji Muxian was already 50 years old, and Li Wuji and the others had long lives. Usually, they were rigid and serious. Even if she was born with an unruly personality, she did not dare to mess with the rules of the sect. Every day, she trembled with fear and tread on thin ice. How could she be like Tang Linglong, who looked at Jiang Tian as if he was a big brother next door? Tang Linglong suddenly clapped her hands and said, "Oh right, this divine ancestor Blazing Bone is a living person, right? He should have more than one rib bone, there should be 24. What about the others? Give them all to me." Okay, I'll give them all to you." Jiang Tian smiled dotingly and patted the sky-devouring demonic gourd. Suddenly, whoosh! The remaining 23 flying swords all fell to the ground. Among Jiang Tian's many disciples. In terms of managing the sect's affairs, Tang Linglong was not as good as Sasaki Haisha and Shin Mange. She was meticulous in all aspects. In terms of cultivation talent, she was not as good as Ling Er. In terms of commanding battles and combat experience, she was not as good as Yi Tianren's 2 guardians and 3 personal disciples. But in any case, she was Jiang Tian's first disciple after he returned to this world. Wow, so many flying swords. I'm rich. They are much more powerful than the disposable flying swords you and Zhang Qianlei made before. Master has made a lot of gains in the world of heaven this time. Tang Linglong's eyes lit up, and she was overjoyed. Holding a pile of blazing bone swords, she suddenly looked embarrassed. She scrutinized Jiang Tian's face and said aggrievedly, "Master, you gave me so many blazing bone swords, but you didn't collect any magic weapons. I carry these flying swords like a hedgehog. I don't know how ugly I am." Jiang Tian pulled a long face and said angrily, "Stinky girl, you are so greedy. You are still thinking about Master's little gourd. You are more beautiful than you are. Hee, Master, the little gourd is your main storage magic weapon. Of course, I don't dare to think about it." Tang Linglong held Jiang Tian's arm and rubbed her full chest. She said fawningly, "But you don't need the storage ring, do you? I can't give it to you." This storage ring was originally a pair with Qingers. How could Jiang Tian give it to her? He shook his head and said, "I've already made the spine into a sword case. You can use this one." He patted the gourd again. A crystal bone about a meter long fell to the ground like a jade snake. Jiang Tian then made a hand seal. Suddenly, the blazing bone swords jumped up as if they were alive. They inserted themselves into the spine and kept shrinking. In the end, only the hilts were left outside. It's useful. Tang Linglong was still very happy. She wrapped the sword box around her waist, making it look like a unique belt. Then, she asked Jiang Tian for the method to control the sword box and the flying sword. Jiang Tian transmitted his immortal will and soon finished teaching. Jiang Tian said, "Okay. Alright, I'm here to kill my way into the West Earth dimension through the Death Hill teleportation formation, annihilate the Changxing sect, suppress the Golden Rock Temple on Thunder Mountain, and steal their Qi revival seed." Jiang Tian was about to leave. Suddenly, Tang Linglong's satellite phone rang. She picked up a few words. Suddenly, her face changed color and she exclaimed, "Sasaki, what did you say? You have news about Master Zhang Qianlei?" Chapter 1086. Zhang Qianlei had fought side by side with Jiang Tian many times, and Jiang Tian valued him very much. He had been sparing no expense to investigate his whereabouts. Hearing this, Jiang Tian immediately took the satellite phone from Tang Linglong and asked anxiously, "Sasaki, have you found Zhang Qianlei's tracks? Where is he?" Jiang Tian's intelligence agency could be said to be one of the best in the world. Not to mention the Tianqing school's outer sect, which was led by Merrill to form an intelligence department. The members were all top spies, secret agents, and computer hackers from all over the world. Even the low-level intelligence personnel were extremely terrifying. The global Hong sect, the Japanese Sakura Society, the Russian Tomahawk, the Italian Mafia. In addition, the military intelligence agencies of various countries also had in-depth cooperation with the Tianqing school. It could be said that they were pervasive. According to the previous investigation, Zhang Qianlei lost contact with Jiang Tian on the way to the Sword Tomb Island, and the last place he appeared was in Italy. So, after Jiang Tian killed the Donald family members and supported John Donald to become the new leader of the party, he asked him to investigate. But after that, there was no news. After all, Zhang Qianlei had the demeanor of an expert. His whereabouts were mysterious, and he was elusive. On the phone, the current leader of the Italian Mafia, John's voice came. "Mr. Jiang, we have found the witnesses and surveillance video of Zhang Qianlei's last disappearance. It was an old Taoist priest from Huaxia who was eating and chatting with him in a small tavern." According to the surveillance video at that time, the old Taoist priest claimed to be from the Imperial Thunder sect in the Qie world. He had supreme thunder techniques and wanted to take Master Qianlei, who had a thunder spirit root, as his disciple. So he took him away. Qie world? Jiang Tian was slightly stunned, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. Qie was one of the two fourth-level dimensional worlds on par with Tianqing and Kanglan. It was governed by the third-level dimensional world of the Dragon Gate. Jiang Tian had also heard about the Imperial Thunder sect in the Qie world from many powerhouses in the Star world. It was said that there was a Golden Core powerhouse in charge. Their thunder techniques were unparalleled, and ordinary Foundation establishment powerhouses could kill a Golden Core powerhouse. To Zhang Qianlei, who specialized in lightning arts, this was naturally a fatal temptation. However, Zhang Qianlei made an appointment with him to go to Sword Tomb Island at that time, but he left without saying goodbye and didn't call to contact him. Perhaps, Zhang Qianlei was coerced. "If they dare to hurt Zhang Qianlei, I'll skin them alive." Jiang Tian was very worried. On the other side, when John Donald heard this, he said in a strange voice, "The surveillance showed that before Zhang Qianlei left, he said that he would master the Supreme Thunder technique and beat Mr. Jiang." He didn't dare to continue. Jiang Tian's face darkened, and he said, "There's no harm in speaking the truth." John did not dare to hide the truth. He coughed and said weakly, "He said he wants to beat Mr. Jiang until he calls him Big Brother. He wants to wash away the shame of losing to you in the Yenjing battle." He also instructed the expert from the Imperial Thunder sect not to accept Kang Taechu as a disciple. He said that Kang Taechu's innate ability was too poor, his conduct was too low, and he would easily betray his master and ancestors, take liberties with decent women, and bully underage girls. "Fuck you." Zhang Qianlei. Jiang Tian's furrowed brows relaxed, but he was so angry that his nose was crooked. "Good for you, Zhang Qianlei. I didn't see you alive or dead. I was so anxious that I couldn't eat or sleep well. In order to find you, I mobilized hundreds of thousands of people and spent countless intelligence resources. I even got people to greet Interpol, MI6, and the FBI. In the end, it turned out that you were accepted as a disciple by an expert from the Qie dimensional world. It turned out that you wanted to secretly learn the cultivation technique and come back to defeat me and make me call you Big Brother. You were afraid that I would surpass you, so you belittled me behind my back. Shameless. Despicable. Disgusting. Wait until I complete the great cause of spirit Qi recovery and settle down Qing'er. I'll go to the Qie dimensional world and beat you up. I'll teach you a lesson." Jiang Tian gritted his teeth and said angrily. Jiang Tian didn't know about the teleportation array that led directly to the Qie dimensional world on Earth, but there was one in the stellar sky domain. Beside him, Tang Linglong asked worriedly, Master, is Master Qianlei all right? This old man is very bad. Jiang Tian put down the satellite phone and sneered. You're still worried about him? He's living a good life. I can't wait for him to be bullied to death by the people of the Chia dimensional world. It's best if he's crippled and can't take care of himself for the rest of his life. Tang Linglong was confused. Didn't Master like Master Qianlei the most? Why was he so angry now? Let's go to West Earth. Jiang Tian said impatiently. Master, I want to go too. Tang Linglong hurriedly pleaded. You're going? Jiang Tian frowned. Although Master's cultivation can withstand the thunder, lightning, and fire that can forcefully break open the spatial door, your cultivation is too low. You'll inevitably be injured. My cultivation is too low, yes. I'm indeed not as high as Huang Linger. Tang Linglong had a personality that refused to admit defeat. In terms of cultivation, contribution to the sect, combat, and many other aspects, she was secretly competing with Huang Linger and the other girls. How could she tolerate this? That's right, my cultivation is low. You've already brought Sister Ling there once. Why aren't you tutoring me? Tang Linglong pulled Jiang Tian's arm and begged coquettishly. Her watery eyes were about to cry. If he didn't agree, she would cry in front of him. Jiang Tian was the most annoyed by this. He immediately had a headache and hurriedly said, All right. I promise you. Thank you, Master. I knew that Master dotes on me the most. Tang Linglong's tears came quickly and left even faster. She immediately broke into a smile. However, there are very few people in Huaxia in West Earth. Most of them are ancient Indians, and the common language is Sanskrit. I'll teach you now. Jiang Tian said. Sanskrit? Everyone was surprised. Sanskrit was originally a very difficult language to control. Would it be too late to make a last-minute effort? Everyone was still worried. Suddenly, they realized that there was an additional message in their minds. It was as if a chip had been implanted. And this chip contained the most comprehensive Sanskrit and Chinese dictionary. With a thought, the corresponding Sanskrit pronunciation and characters would immediately appear. Daoist Tai Chu's mental divine ability is really powerful. The martial demon lady was dumbfounded. She couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. Her charming face was filled with shock. It's just a small technique. It's not worth mentioning. Jiang Tian smiled faintly. His gaze swept across the ruins of Death Hill. He quickly used algebra and the study of formations to calculate in his mind. He muttered, Now, I'm going to activate this teleportation formation. Under the ruins of Death Hill, there's obviously a formation foundation. It's not an ordinary city. It's just that it's very obscure and profound. It's different from Huaxia's formation. It can't be activated casually. Li Wuji solemnly scanned the ruins of Death Hill. The Kunlun sect was originally a dimensional world. It wasn't on Mount Kunlun in the mortal world, but in the sky above it. It was isolated by the ancient formation of the yin and yang microdust. Li Wuji's seniority was very high. He had a long lifespan and was regarded as the leader of many Taoist sections. He had seen countless formations and his eyes were sharp. He was about to warn Li Mu. The lightning teleportation formation on Death Hill could only be activated once every few decades or centuries. Jiang Tian had to be careful. If he used brute force to forcefully break it open, it might cause a disaster like the Death Hill explosion in history. However, Jiang Tian casually cast a spell and shouted, Open! Boom! Deep under the Death Hill, there seemed to be a huge ritual that was operating, letting out a thunderous roar. The ground shook violently as if there was a huge earth dragon rolling. Dust flew everywhere and basketball-sized rocks were scattered all over the ground. Those tanks and fighter jets that were abandoned a few days ago actually floated up, completely defying the laws of physics. All of a sudden, Countless bolts of lightning surged from the ground and from the clouds, forming a giant lightning portal with a radius of a few hundred meters in the sky. There were bright lights deep inside the portal and there were tiny bolts of lightning flashing like silver snakes. But they could vaguely see the world on the other side of the portal. There were mountains, cities, palaces, clouds and even people that were as small as ants. My words are the law. Golden words are spoken from my mouth. How can there be such a terrifying divine power in this world? Li Wuji was shocked. Yi Karen was dumbfounded. Her pretty face was filled with shock. He's really a godlike man. Lady Wu's eyes were filled with splendor. Her chest heaved up and down and her face flushed. She only hated that Jiang Tian married too early and that she was an old-fashioned guy who didn't know how to flirt. Otherwise, she would have swung her hoe and tried to steal from Zhao Xueqing. I'm afraid that even the yin and yang microdust formation of Kunlun won't be able to resist it. Li Wuji mumbled to himself. This Death Hill array was definitely a perfected deity array. It could gather lightning energy, control the dimension and shorten the distance. There were also many restrictions. Even nascent soul overlords would have to be careful when facing it since it wasn't made by them. However, Jiang Tian was able to forcefully activate the formation on the Death Hill with just a finger seal and a low roar. This wasn't only because Jiang Tian was powerful, but also because he had reached an unimaginable level in array formation. Thunder, come! Jiang Tian's purple eyes spun and expanded. Lightning flashed and purple bolts of lightning shot out. At the same time, he flicked his fingers and drew talismans in the air. In just a few seconds, a giant cocoon condensed from purple lightning enveloped them like a space capsule. Impressive. Immortal Master Jiang is really good at everything. The martial demon lady was shocked, her mind was shaken. Yi Karen also widened her eyes and exclaimed in her mind. Jiang Tian's power was unfathomable. Jiang Tian's thunder cocoon only flashed slightly and was quite stable, it wouldn't spread to their bodies at all. One had to know. Lightning was the most violent and unstable energy in the world and was extremely difficult to control. And yet, it was controlled by Jiang Tian like an obedient kitten. Go! Jiang Tian's face didn't change. He let out a light shout and made another hand sign on the inner wall of the lightning cocoon. Immediately, the purple thunder cocoon moved on its own and shot into the thunder gate, flying towards the West Earth dimension. Chapter 1087. Everyone could only hear the crackling sounds of explosions coming from the outside, as if sparks were being emitted. It should be the electrical energy from the positive and negative poles of the cocoon and the Death Hill thunder and lightning gate constantly neutralizing each other, engulfing and entangling each other. As the electric energy was neutralized, the cocoon-shaped cabin was filled with a pungent smell of ozone and shook violently. Sometimes, there were electric bolts as thick as an arm penetrating the cocoon cabin and hitting everyone. Even an immortal state overlord wouldn't be able to withstand such electric bolts. Fortunately, the cultivation of everyone in the cabin was not bad. Moreover, Jiang Tian did not release the purple lightning to intercept it, so it was more frightening than dangerous. The purple lightning cocoon was also very thin from time to time. They could even see the twisted space and electric bolts outside. But every time it was about to be exhausted, Jiang Tian would use a thunder art to repair it with purple lightning. The lightning cocoon had never been broken before. Everyone felt that the time taken to travel through the space channel lasted for about half an hour. Suddenly, the electric bolts outside disappeared. Jiang Tian revealed a faint smile. With a "chi-la" sound, he tore open the lightning cocoon and stepped out. Everyone looked down. The cocoon floated several hundred meters in the air. Below its feet was a mountain range that rose and fell like a giant dragon. They had arrived at West Earth. Jiang Tian raised his head and looked. He saw the sun that was the same size as Earth and knew that this folded space wasn't far from Earth. In the forest, there were mountains thousands of feet high. Wolves, insects, tigers, and leopards were everywhere. Giant trees covered the sky and vines as thick as thighs wound around the trees like dragons. There were also unknown wild flowers swaying gently. It was full of primitive and barbaric aura. What rich spirit chi! Tang Linglong closed her eyes and looked intoxicated. She stretched her arms and let out a cheer. Then, she jumped down and landed on the ground. Yi Karen was also shocked. Strictly speaking, the Kunlun sect also belonged to a dimension world, but it was only dozens of kilometers wide and couldn't be compared with the vastness of this place. More importantly, the spirit chi was rich. The spirit chi here was at least dozens of times richer than that of Earth and several times richer than that of the Kunlun sect. Jiang Tian and the others also landed on the ground. Suddenly, the sound of fighting could be heard from afar. Yi Karen had already sensed it. His expression changed as he frowned and said, "There are people fighting 20 miles to the west. What does that have to do with us?" Jiang Tian's face was cold and indifferent. "We're here just to get rid of our old enemies, the Golden Rock Temple and the Changxing sect, and to get what we want." Li Wuji nodded slightly in agreement. "We'd better make some friends so that they can be our guides," Yi Karen suggested. Jiang Tian was noncommittal. In the end, he smiled and said, "That's true. You're all injured. We're not in a hurry." At this moment, the sounds of fighting were getting closer and closer. Over 30 men and women were chasing after a young girl who looked to be around 13 or 14 years old. There were more than 30 men and women of different ages. The oldest was a burly man in his 40s, and the youngest looked to be in his 20s. Some of them were riding on spirit beasts such as falcons, some were stepping on flying carpets, and some were riding on artifacts. Fireballs, thunderbolts, wind blades, and arrows kept shooting at the adorable young girl. The one in the lead was a young girl with a very ugly appearance. She was around 20 years old and her face was covered in earthworm-like scars. However, her figure was very hot. She had curves in the front and back and a slender waist. She wore a gauze dress and her magic treasure was a string of metal bracelets on her arm. This woman's attacks were ruthless and merciless. Every time she shook her arms, dozens of bracelets would fly out and become bigger with the wind, smashing boulders and breaking trees. When they hit the little girl's body, she would be sent flying into the air and scream. The other was a handsome young man in his 20s. He was wearing silver armor and a silver helmet. He held a silver spear in his hand and seemed to be a soldier. He was supporting her attacks and driving the running girl into her attack range. First level Foundation Establishment Realm. Jiang Tian narrowed his eyes. If this girl was in the Stellar Sky domain, she would be an elite disciple of a large sect. However, she could be seen everywhere in the outskirts of West Earth. It was indeed West Earth. Before this, Jiang Tian had learned about it in the Stellar Sky domain. West Earth did not belong to the fragments of the ancient Huaxia. It also did not belong to the ruins of immortality system. It was self-contained and independent. If it had to be categorized into the dimensional world formed by the ruins of immortality and the ancient Huaxia, it would probably have to be a second-class dimensional world. The girl who was being chased was wearing a red gauze dress that was torn by the branches. A string of white jade beads hung in front of her chest. The little girl looked cute and youthful. However, at this moment, her face was covered in dirt and tears. Her beautiful eyes were filled with fear. A pair of snow-white, petite, and bare feet stepped on the mountain rocks and brambles, moving up and down as she ran. Her 3 braids were dragged straight in the air. As she ran, she begged with tears in her eyes. "Why are you bullying a little girl like me? I didn't provoke you. Kill!" The ugly girl with the earthworm face attacked again. The silver bracelet flew out and hit her until she was rolling on the ground and vomiting blood. Seeing this, Lady Wu could not take it anymore. Her face was filled with anger. She shook her 2 sabers and said coldly, "How can this group of people bully the weak with their numbers?" She was about to attack the group of pursuers. Yi Karen's sword aura exploded and was about to help. Wait. Jiang Tian raised his hand to stop her. He suppressed her sword aura so that she could not move at all. Why? Yi Karen was stunned. Then, she became angry and said angrily, "Isn't it the responsibility of cultivators like us to help the weak and uphold justice? Could it be that immortal Master Jiang was injured in the heavenly state and could not defeat them? Or are you afraid of them and do not dare to wage war on West Earth?" At this moment, she was very disappointed and despised Jiang Tian. To think that Jiang Tian dominated Earth and was known to be undefeated in 10,000 battles. He was not afraid of the gods and Buddhas. Today, he did not dare to help a little girl who was being bullied like this. At this moment, she was even suspicious. Was the rumors true that Jiang Tian had already taken down the two worlds of Tianqing and Heavenly State? Perhaps, he was just bragging and bluffing. After all, no one had seen it with their own eyes. Li Wuji's face was as calm as still water. He said calmly, "Karen, don't act on your own. What does their life and death have to do with us? Could it be that Kang Teichu is really afraid?" Lady Wu was also confused and doubtful. But after all, she had experienced the battle at the Lansang River. At that time, she also thought that the Tianqing school and Jiang Tian did not dare to fight and could not defeat the Holy See and Brahmin. But in fact, Jiang Tian and the others only lured the enemy in and finally killed the invading army of 3,000 with the Koalian. Therefore, thinking of the past, she did not doubt Jiang Tian. She only asked, "Immortal Master Jiang, why didn't we help?" Why? He was clearly afraid. What kind of master is he? Tianqing school is not the #1 orthodoxy. Ridiculous. Yi Karen glared fiercely at Jiang Tian. She was inexplicably sad and indignant, and the corners of her mouth curved into a disdainful smile. Tang Linglong was already unhappy with Yi Karen. Now that she heard her disrespect her master, she was even angrier. How could she stand it? She said coldly, "When my master was fighting the Holy See and Brahmin, where were you? Who didn't dare to fight? Who was the one who turned the tide? Who didn't care about the life and death of the Huaxia cultivation world and didn't care about it?" Her words were obviously scolding the Kunlun sect. In fact, when the Holy See invaded, Yi Zhantian had represented the Long Formation and Huaxia cultivation world to contact the Kunlun sect and ask for help. However, the Kunlun sect was very arrogant. They claimed that they were people who stayed away from the secular world and would only help when the world was destroyed. They politely refused. This was also one of the reasons why many people still regarded the Tianqing school as the #1 orthodoxy in Huaxia and suppressed and belittled the Kunlun sect even though it was located overseas. Tang Linglong, how dare you insult the Kunlun sect? Yi Karen was so angry that her whole body trembled. "Karen, listen to what fellow Taoist Tai Chu has to say." Fellow Taoist Tai Chu has his reasons for doing things. Li Wuji glared at her. Reasons? I'd like to see what reasons he has. Yi Karen was angry, but she didn't dare to speak anymore. Does the weak have to be kind? Jiang Tian was so broad-minded that he didn't argue with Yi Karen. He just smiled and asked slowly, "Does the weak occupy justice and morality? If that's the case, the more righteous one is, the weaker one is. In the human civilization and the entire universe, the more despicable and evil one is, the stronger one is, right? Then, wouldn't this world be doomed?" Well. Yi Karen was stunned. Jiang Tian put his hands behind his back. A gentle breeze blew his waterfall-like hair and he said with the demeanor of an expert. "Most of the time, the weak are the evil ones. Because usually, evil can't prevail over good." Are you saying that the little girl who's being chased is a bad person? Lady Wu was puzzled. She frowned and asked, "But she looks so young and weak. The world of West Earth is full of strange things. Let's just watch the show. Maybe the next plot will be very shocking." Jiang Tian's face was calm and relaxed, but there was a trace of vicissitude in the depths of his eyes. It's not that easy to distinguish between good and evil. Sometimes, everyone has their own opinions and acts from their own point of view. There are so many wars and battles, from small fights on the streets to big fights for hegemony between countries, and even the rise and fall of civilizations. In the end, it's just a struggle for survival. The weak are prey to the strong. It's just for a bite to eat and a place to live. Jiang Tian had already seen through it, but he was too lazy to explain. Martial Demon Yang carefully looked at the little girl who was running away and suddenly realized something. The little girl looked weak, but she ran very fast. Her speed was almost comparable to the sound barrier. Wherever she passed, the branches and leaves in her way would explode, forming a green smoke. And every time she was hit and sent flying, she would immediately get up. There were no broken bones. She could withstand the attack of a Foundation establishment cultivator. She was clearly a strong person. The little girl ran very fast. In just a few minutes, she had crossed more than 10 miles of forest and arrived in front of Jiang Tian. She hugged Jiang Tian and rubbed her full chest against Jiang Tian's arm. She hurriedly said, "Little brother, you're so handsome and heroic. You must be a hero. You won't leave me in the lurch, right?" Chapter 1088. At this moment, the girl with the earthworm-like scars on her face also came over with her men and shouted, "Fellow Taoist, be careful. This demonic woman is called Wu Gong'er. She is a demonic cultivator with extraordinary cultivation. Quickly push her away." Wu Gong'er looked at the girl with the earthworm-like face in disdain and shouted, "Red Butterfly, you are the demonic woman." She sat down on a huge rock beside Jiang Tian, swinging her pair of delicate and beautiful feet. The golden bells on her ankles were jingling. She said in a sad and sorrowful tone, "Hero, I want you to know that this demonic woman and I came from the same village. Red Butterfly and I were childhood friends. However, she was ugly and jealous of my beauty, so she made up lies and called me a demon. She wanted to kill me. Hero young man, please save me." The man in silver armor looked at Jiang Tian with disdain and shook his head helplessly. These people are obviously not cultivators. Their consciousness is not strong enough. I am afraid they will be bewitched by the demonic woman. I am afraid they will be bewitched. Red Butterfly is also very worried. She whispered to the man in silver armor, "Brother Xiao Zhu, let's split up. I'll save the stranger, and you take them to attack Wu Gong'er. We have to cut them open." The others were hesitant and unwilling. Once the battle started, it would be a fierce battle to the death. However, they still had to take care of a few ordinary people. They would be restrained and would not be able to fight at their best. Xiao Zhu was also unwilling, but in the end, he nodded lazily. Originally, he was too lazy to help a few ordinary people who were as weak as ants. However, Red Butterfly was the daughter of the city lord. His father obeyed her orders. He could not ignore her orders. "What do I get for saving you?" As expected, Jiang Tian did not seem to hear their persuasion. He lowered his head and smiled at Wu Gong'er. "Of course there are benefits." Wu Gong'er was stunned. She smiled sweetly as if the fear just now did not exist. "What benefits? Tell me." Jiang Tian smiled. "If you save me. I know some embarrassing things that only boys and girls do. Let's do it together." The girl once again crawled in front of Jiang Tian and hugged Jiang Tian's arm. Her eyes were like flowing water, her mouth was like orchids, and her snow-white teeth bit her captivating lower lip as she giggled. Her voice was soft and charming. Just a moment ago, it was as pure as water, but now it was charming and seductive. Jiang Tian pushed her away and sneered. "I'm sorry, I already have a wife, and I'm already very old. I don't like doing this kind of thing." Yi Karen frowned. Although this girl called Wu Gong'er was a bit frivolous and unrestrained, she was still a weak little girl. How could Jiang Tian be so heartless? "How dare you push me when I'm so beautiful?" Yi Karen was about to lend a helping hand. All of a sudden, a thunderous roar came from the cute and delicate chest. The sound wave was so strong that Yi Karen and Lady Wu were both sent flying, and they almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Wugong's lovely little face suddenly changed, becoming hideous and ugly in an instant. Her body was like a huge balloon that was rapidly expanding and elongating. Her entire body emitted strange, chi-chi sounds. Bone spikes pierced through her clothes and pierced into the mountain rocks, causing sparks to fly everywhere. Her body became long and large, and she was actually a huge centipede made of muscles and bones. Bone armor bulged high on her upper body, causing her body to bend. Her arms made of bones opened up, and her fingers were sharp as claws. Bone spikes that were curved like steel whips grew out from the back of her head. The jade prayer beads in front of her chest expanded and turned into human skulls that hung around her neck. Her face was filled with wrinkles, and her muscles were knotted together. It was indescribably terrifying. Her pupils were pitch black and cold. An extremely sharp voice came out of her mouth, like the screams of countless women mixed together. She said sternly, "It's just eating a few people. Why do you want to kill me? I once listened to the scriptures of the Changxing sect's leader. Even the beast-controlling sect treats me as a consecrator and doesn't dare to underestimate me. You dare to kill me?" Seeing this scene, Yi Karen and Lady Wu both realized what was going on, and they instantly broke out in cold sweat. It turned out that this little girl was a shape-shifted monster. "There's no reason." Red Butterfly's eyes were cold, and she said coldly, "It's just that you're eating people around Maolin City. I can't just watch you eat them. I'm hungry." Wugong roared, causing the trees to shake violently, and leaves rustled down. "Hungry? You're eating cows, horses, and animals. So, we've been feeding you cows and sheep every day, haven't we? You also promised that you wouldn't cause trouble." Red Butterfly gave Jiang Tian a look and had Jiang Tian step back, while she slowly approached Wugong. However, Jiang Tian didn't seem to see her look. He stood motionless and looked at her with a smile on his face. It was as if the monster in front of him was not a monster that ate people without spitting out their bones, but a small earthworm. "Hurry up and leave. Don't delay us from killing this monster." Seeing this, Red Butterfly urged in a low voice. She couldn't help but be disappointed with Jiang Tian. He was smart to push the demoness away. Why was he confused again? He obviously didn't have any cultivation, but he was still trying to be brave. Or was he scared out of his wits? The young man named Xiao Zhu looked at Jiang Tian with disdain and sneered, "Trash, mortal. Why are you still here? Are you waiting for death?" Wugong was calm and unruffled. She didn't provoke Jiang Tian first. Anyway, in her opinion, Jiang Tian was just an ordinary person who couldn't run away at all. On the other hand, Red Butterfly and the others had cultivation. Not only were they delicious, but they were also very nutritious. They would definitely eat them first. Cows, horses, and animals are not delicious. The taste is not good, and the essence is too lacking. Man is the spirit of all things. Saliva flowed out of Wugong's mouth like a stream. She laughed sinisterly. "Red Butterfly, you wretched girl. Do you think I ran here because I'm afraid of you? Do you think my strength is as simple as you think?" What do you mean?" At this moment, Red Butterfly was shocked. Originally, killing the centipede spirit Wugong was a large-scale military operation for the entire Maolin City. Her father, Governor Mao Bohu, led the garrison army and many experts from small sections. A total of thousands of people participated in the operation. However, Wugong seemed to be defeated from the beginning. She retreated as she fought. She ran to the top of the Golden Lotus platform and retreated into the depths of the mountain. Wugong was eager to kill the enemy. She ignored her father's warning and led a small team into the depths of the mountain alone to chase after the enemy. At this moment, she suddenly realized that she seemed to have underestimated the enemy. If Wugong was really so weak, how could she wreak havoc in the vicinity of Maolin City for hundreds of years without anyone being able to kill her? Red butterfly, little cutie, I will eat them and then capture you. Your father, the governor, will obediently give people to me to eat every day. Wugong laughed strangely. She suddenly burst into the air like a giant python. She bared her fangs and brandished her claws as she rushed towards Mao Hongdai. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Mao Hongdia's face turned cold. She raised her hands and the silver bracelets rose into the air and whizzed towards Wugong. Xiao Zhu held a silver spear and soared into the air. The spear was like an angry dragon as it pierced towards Wugong's back. The others also made their moves. Fireballs, arrows, flying hammers, flying knives, wind blades, rolling logs, they rained down on Wugong like raindrops. Pa pa pa. Wugong's countless claws swung back and forth. In an instant, Mao Hongdia's silver bracelets were smashed into pieces. Wugong soared into the air and her sharp bone hook flashed with cold light as she pounced towards Mao Hongdai. Kill her. Quickly save the young miss. Those fireballs and other magical weapons were shot over. Wugong did not even dodge. She allowed them to hit her body. She was actually safe and sound, without a single injury. Wugong, who covered the sky and the sun, pounced over like a mountain. Mao Hongdia's face could not help but change in fright. Beads of cold sweat appeared on her forehead. Her eyes revealed deep fear and despair, as if she had seen a demon. Chapter 1089. Mao Hongdai often fought with her father. Although she was scared, her reaction wasn't slow. She jumped into the air and dodged the attack. Boom! Where she was originally standing, millstone-sized boulders crumbled one after another. The black poisonous gas that Wugong spat out permeated the air, and then smelted the shattered rocks. It was extremely corrosive, and if it landed on one's body, they would immediately turn into a pile of withered bones. Mao Hongdai saw this and cold sweat came out like a small stream. She was scared. If she hadn't dodged, she would have been dead. Wugong spat out black gas and waved its claws. In an instant, 3 overlords were killed. Die! Fan Xiuzhu, who had missed twice, jumped into the air and stabbed Wugong's neck with his silver spear. Crack! The long spear, which contained the true essence of a Foundation establishment overlord, stabbed into Wugong's neck. Oh no! Everyone else was overjoyed, but Fan Xiuzhu's expression changed drastically, unable to express his bitterness. His long spear was only a few centimeters in. It was stuck in Wugong's neck and couldn't be pulled out. How is this possible? I can kill a mid-stage Foundation establishment overlord with my full strength. Why can't I stab it? Just how strong is its cultivation? He was sweating profusely and was dumbstruck. All of a sudden, the 2 whip-like antennae on top of Wugong's head let out a strange howl and swept over. Fan Xiuzhu was frightened. He quickly made hand seals and chanted spells. Suddenly, his body shone brightly and 7 or 8 Dharma artifacts appeared. He retreated like a shooting star. But he was still hit by Wugong's antennae. Wugong's cultivation wasn't as simple as they thought. It had reached the early stage of the Golden Core realm. One attack could destroy mountains and shatter the earth. Fan Xiuzhu screamed and his waist made a cracking sound. His waist and abdomen were about to be crushed. He flew a few hundred meters away like a rag doll and fell on a rock. He screamed and groaned in pain and lost his ability to fight. Fan Xiuzhu. Mao Hongdia's heart trembled. He and Fan Xiuzhu's family had been friends for generations. They had been childhood sweethearts, and they had many common topics to talk about. It was no longer as simple as a guard and a young lady. Sister Red Butterfly, leave quickly. Brother Xiuzhu can't hold on any longer. A cute girl in a green dress pulled Mao Hongdai and said anxiously. In just a few minutes. More than half of the 30 guards had been killed, and even Fan Xiuzhu, who had the highest cultivation among them, was unable to withstand it. If they continued to hold on, only death would await them. When the other guards saw that they were no match for him, they were already terrified and began to flee. Although they were guards, they had not reached the level of loyalty. If the city lord were to blame them, they could just flee. After all, West Earth world was vast, and they would have ways to survive. Luo Qi, how many mortals are there? A trace of struggle flashed in Mao Hongdie's eyes. As she retreated, she looked at Jiang Tian and the others and shouted, "Idiots! Hurry up and run!" Luo Qi stomped her feet anxiously and shouted, "Sister Red Butterfly, why do you care if they live or die? What do they have to do with us? I've already used up all my fireball charms. Why are you running? Didn't this centipede spirit want to eat me? Then I might as well just kill it." Jiang Tian smiled faintly. Facing the overwhelming baleful aura, he walked towards Wugonger. Mao Hongdai was dumbfounded. Then, she stomped her feet angrily and shouted, "You're crazy. You'll die. Young miss, why do you care if they live or die? If you don't leave now, it will be too late." Luo Qi's face turned pale as she screamed in shock. "It's already too late." Suddenly, Mao Hongdai sighed. Her face was filled with despair, and her legs went soft. Wugonger rampaged through the forest, her hundreds of bone-like claws waving in unison, slapping away one guard after another. Even when Lady Wu attacked, she was instantly caught in the bone-like claws. She spat out black gas and soared into the air. In the blink of an eye, she was only a dozen meters away from Mao Hongdai. In her eyes, the black shadow grew larger and larger. Mao Hongdie's eyes were filled with fear and despair. She could already see Wugonger's sinister and smug smile. Luo Qi was so frightened that she burst into tears. Just when everyone was in despair and helplessness. Suddenly, a dazzling light gushed out and shot towards Wugonger at lightning speed. Then, the light grew bigger and bigger, like a silver tide, it covered the sky and poured down on Wugonger. "You're an expert." Wugonger looked back at Jiang Tian with fear in her eyes. She only had time to let out a scream. Before she could dodge, she was pinned to the ground by hundreds of flying swords. She had no strength to struggle at all. In the blink of an eye, she died an unnatural death. This centipede spirit, which had wreaked havoc on the Golden Lotus platform and Maolin City for hundreds of years and killed dozens of experts as soon as it appeared, was killed by Jiang Tian just like that. The entire area was dead silent. Everyone was dumbfounded. When they saw the flying swords fly into Jiang Tian's heaven-devouring demonic gourd, they realized that Jiang Tian had saved them. "Celestial Master Jiang, thank you for your help." Lady Wu still had lingering fear. She wiped the cold sweat off her forehead and walked up to Jiang Tian with a smile to thank him. "Celestial Master Jiang, I was blind just now. I didn't see Wugonger's true face. I'm sorry." Yi Karen, on the other hand, was so ashamed that her face was red. She walked up to Jiang Tian and apologized solemnly. At this moment, she felt Jiang Tian's monstrous strength. She understood that Jiang Tian's eyes were vicious and not ordinary people could compare with him. Jiang Tian didn't help her because he had already seen Wugonger's true face. If it wasn't for Jiang Tian stopping her, she, Yi Karen, would have already started a battle with Mao Hongdai and the others. Both sides would have suffered heavy injuries, and then she would be eaten by Wugong, who would sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight. "Don't mention it. We're working together. Do you think I'll just watch you get killed?" Jiang Tian chuckled and didn't take it to heart. Yi Karen was just a junior. Her grandfather was Jiang Tian's disciple. Why would Jiang Tian care about her? How could he just sit by and watch them suffer? Middle stage of foundation establishment. The young men and women of Maolin City, led by Mao Hongdai, looked at Jiang Tian. The disdain and contempt on their faces were replaced by fear and admiration. Wugonger's cultivation was at least at the early stage of foundation establishment, or even higher. Jiang Tian could kill her, so he was at least at the middle stage of foundation establishment. Mao Hongdai was also shocked. She finally understood that Jiang Tian was not stupid or reckless. He was 100% confident. At this moment, she was very surprised. It was very rare for someone to reach the middle stage of foundation establishment at such a young age as Jiang Tian, even in the large sects like the Changxing sect. However, she was the daughter of the city lord after all. She was experienced and knowledgeable. Although she was shocked, she still walked up quickly and bowed graciously. Mao Hongdai of Maolin City greets you, senior. Thank you for saving our lives. My family and I will repay you greatly. The others also came forward to greet him. They were humble and respectful, but their eyes were full of fear. This was the universal law of the cultivation world. The strong were respected, and the weak were like ants. Even if there was a certain order, the strong were the law. This iron rule was still eternal. In fact, although Jiang Tian searched a lot of memories in Kasayapa Guru's mind, some of the information was not detailed enough, or it was not consistent with reality. Jiang Tian still needed to familiarize himself with the situation, so he nodded and said, "My Taoist name is Star Butcher. I am here with a few friends and disciples. May I know where this place is and who is in charge?" The name, Star Butcher, was the abbreviation of Jiang Tian's infamous Starry Sky Butcher in his previous life. However, Jiang Tian had recently broken through 2 dimensions, swept across the 3 realms, and shocked the universe. He deserved this name. Everyone's faces were filled with astonishment. They thought to themselves, no wonder their clothes and dressing are so strange. It turns out that they are foreigners. Although Mao Hongdia's appearance was ugly, she treated people very well. She was refined and courteous. She said respectfully, "Master Star Butcher, this is the Golden Lotus Mountain outside Maolin City of the Yunnan country in the north of West Earth. The nearest city, Maolin City, is about 300 miles away. If you don't mind, you can come with me to Maolin City. My family will be very grateful to you." "How far is the famous Changxin sect from here?" Jiang Tian asked with a smile. "Changxin sect?" Mao Hongdia's face was filled with annoyance, fear, and resentment at the mention of this name. She then took a deep breath and said, "The Changxin sect is the 5th sect in West Earth. It dominates the north. The Yunnan country and 3 other countries, 13 big cities, and hundreds of small and medium-sized cities within 1,000 miles of the north are their territory. 1,000 miles to the east, the 10,000-year mountain in the Tianlang country is there." Jiang Tian's eyes were like torches. He immediately sensed Mao Hongdia's complicated attitude towards this sect. This girl is not bad. She knows how to repay kindness and distinguish right from wrong. I'll test her. If she's suitable, I'll let her be my representative here. Jiang Tian thought. Then, Jiang Tian smiled and said, "Okay, we'll go to Maolin City right after we come out of seclusion. Sorry for disturbing you." "Not at all. It's our honor." Mao Hongdai was delighted when she heard that. Her clear eyes shone brightly. This woman acted swiftly and decisively. She immediately ordered everyone to pack up their luggage and split Wugong into pieces. Then, they began their return journey. On the way, he learned from the conversation. West Earth was 10,000 miles wide. Even a foundation establishment overlord would have to fly for a few days without sleep if he wanted to cross the continent. There were many sects and overlords in West Earth. There were also many cultivation families. But the one with the highest status was the Tathagata of the Golden Rock Temple on Mount Thunder. Even the sect master of the Changxin sect was much weaker than him. He had to be careful with his words and actions and didn't dare to offend him. This Tathagata's cultivation was profound, and his golden body was indestructible. Moreover, he was skilled in the art of controlling thunder. His other divine abilities were also well versed in all kinds of magic. His power was unparalleled and unfathomable. Tathagata had been in charge of the Golden Rock Temple on Mount Thunder for 500 years. Tathagata. There's a Tathagata in the Golden Rock Temple. When martial demon Lady Ikarin heard this, her beautiful face turned pale and her mind shook violently. Could it be that the founder of the Buddhist sect on earth, the Supreme Buddha, Shakyamuni, hadn't passed away? Had he come to this world? Chapter 1090. When Jiang Tian heard this, he couldn't help but chuckle as he glanced at the two women. Then, he used his divine sense to explain. He explained to them, Tathagata is not necessarily Shakyamuni. There is more than one Tathagata. Tathagata is one of the 10 titles of Buddhism. It is also a state and a job. With the way of truth, one can accumulate good karma and become a Buddha. That's why he is called Tathagata. According to the Buddhist scriptures on earth, Shakyamuni is the only Tathagata in the Saha world. But as you can see, the West Earth is a world of its own. The history of Buddhism here is even longer than that of Buddhism on earth. Besides, there are plenty of cultivation resources in this chaotic world. Naturally, other Tathagatas will be born. The woman seemed to understand something and nodded. Jiang Tian didn't want to scare Li Wuji and the others, so he didn't say anything shocking. The Tathagata of the Golden Rock Temple in the West Earth was probably more powerful than the Buddha Lord on earth. According to Mao Hongdia's introduction, there were no United States. There was no unified country here. Instead, there were many countries and sections. The situation was complicated. It was more like an alliance system with the Golden Rock Temple on Thunder Mountain as the main body, the other cultivation sects as branches, and the states, cities, and families as branches and leaves. Here, the cultivation sects had already surpassed the imperial power of the secular world. Take the northern region, where Jiang Tian was now, for example. There were 4 countries, 13 cities, 32 medium-sized cities like Maolin City, and many small cities, villages, and towns. The population was more than 100 million. There were also a dozen small sects, but they were all vassals of the Changshan sect. They didn't dare to act rashly. In the vast northern region, from the king of a country to the city lords, they were all conferred titles and obeyed the orders of the Changshan denomination. They also had to pay annual tributes. If one wanted to join the major sects, he or she must first believe in the Changshan sect and pay annual tributes. Only then could he or she be assessed by the major sections. Or, they could complete the many missions of the longevity sect and serve it, such as gathering, hunting, enforcing the law, farming, hunting, killing, and so on. Only then could they obtain merit points, rewarded cultivation methods, or the opportunity to join the sect. As for them, they were all from the cultivation families of Maolin City. The Mao family, the Fan family, the Luo family, and so on all had a foundation establishment powerhouse in charge. They were full of talents. They had originally followed their families to hunt down Wugong, so they were only part of the reserve forces. Who would have thought that they would fall for Wugong's trap? If not for Jiang Tian's intervention, they would have been reduced to Wugong's food and hostage. Among the people present, other than Mao Hongdai, Fan Xiuzhu, who was wearing silver armor, had the highest status and cultivation. He was the young master of the Fan family, which was ranked second in Maolin City. He had just stepped into the foundation establishment stage. His father was a city patrol guard, and he also served in the city patrol guard. This position was equivalent to the chief of police of a city on earth, as well as the minister of armed forces. It was responsible for social security and some military affairs. I heard that the cultivation families of Maolin City each have a foundation establishment cultivator. A large city and a large sect even have a golden core overlord in charge. Powerful sects like the Changshan sect and the Golden Rock Temple must have countless golden core cultivators. There must be hundreds or even thousands of golden core cultivators in the West Earth world. This kind of power is far beyond the heavenly star world and the heavenly state world. Jiang Tian listened calmly, but his mind was racing. My friend, we seem to have underestimated the power of this place. The information you found in Kasayapa Guru is not very accurate. Li Wuji also thought of this and was a bit unprepared. He frowned and communicated with Jiang Tian with his soul energy. It's not like you said that only the top sects have golden core cultivators, but many cities and medium-sized sects have golden core cultivators. How many golden core cultivators did we challenge in the Changshan sect? After all, Jia Yi hasn't been in this world for 2,000 years. A lot of the information is not accurate. Jiang Tian smiled bitterly and said, "Don't be nervous. We'll just act according to the situation." Jia Yi was the leader of a sect on Earth and was famous in the world of overlords. But in the Changshan sect, he was just a nobody. Otherwise, how could he not enjoy the rich spirit qi and cultivation resources here and work for the Earth world where spirit qi was scarce? It was as if he had been sent to a cold place to be exiled. In the cultivation world, strength was respected. The powerful sects had a strict hierarchy. Even if Jia Yi had the opportunity to communicate with the Changshan sect in the West Earth world, he could only report unilaterally and did not dare to ask more about the situation in the West Earth world. This caused a lot of his information to be outdated and wrong. Luo Ming, who invaded the Earth world, is called the guardian elder of the Changshan sect. Li Wuji was frightened and cold sweat appeared on his forehead. He has such a high status, but he's only at the late stage of the Foundation establishment realm. His strength doesn't match his position. Luo Ming's situation is not strange. The Changshan sect often takes over other people's bodies to prolong their lives. It's probably because they've just taken over someone's body and haven't recovered to their peak strength yet. Jiang Tian gave a possible explanation. Hey. Damn it. This guy really misled me. Li Wuji's hair stood on end and he began to think of retreating. He complained, "I thought he could be the guardian elder at the Foundation establishment realm. The Changshan sect only has 1 or 2 golden core cultivators at most. Then, we can still try. But now. Tai Chu, let's go back." Go back. We can't go back. At least, we can't go back through the teleportation array on the Golden Lotus platform. This is a one-way teleportation array. The corners of Jiang Tian's mouth curled up into a smile as he transmitted his divine sense. A one-way teleportation array. Tai Chu, didn't you notice before you came? You're too reckless. Li Wuji howled and complained. He only felt that the West world was extremely dangerous and he couldn't move an inch. Immortal Master Xing Tu, you're an itinerant cultivator. Why don't you work in the city patrol as a teacher-in-chief? You'll have tens of thousands of soldiers under your command. My father loves talents. He won't hesitate to hire beautiful women and crystals. The next day, Fan Xiuzhu had recovered after using a lot of spirit pills. After knowing that Jiang Tian didn't belong to any sect or family, he became even more enthusiastic. This person adhered to the attitude of the strong being respected. He didn't even look at Jiang Tian because he thought he was an ordinary person. After Jiang Tian showed his strength, he was extremely respectful. He talked a lot and promised a lot of benefits. He had changed from arrogance to deference, but he was courteous and did not give people the feeling of hypocrisy. He was worthy of being a seasoned veteran. Jiang Tian smiled but didn't say anything, declining to comment. It wasn't just him, the disciples of the other cultivation clans all threw out olive branches to Jiang Tian one after another, offering generous conditions, status, beautiful women, cultivation techniques, great medicine, and crystals. They promised great benefits and guided him patiently and systematically. Immortal Master Xing Tu, if you come to the Luo family, we'll definitely worship you like a god. I'm not married and don't have any brothers. We're all sisters. My father has always wanted to find a strong man to marry into our family. The pretty girl named Luo Qi was even more flirtatious and begged softly. She seemed to have the intention of selling her body. This scene shocked Madame Wu Yaonang and Yi Karen. Tang Linglong, on the other hand, had a face full of pride as she stood behind Jiang Tian, humming a little tune. However, she didn't forget to glare at Luo Qi and secretly scold her. You're so cheap. In the eyes of the overlords on Earth, Heavenly Kingdom, Star World, and West Earth were all places where the deities lived. The overlords there were like real gods. They were superior and unshakable. Provoking them was like courting death. But as soon as Jiang Tian came here, he only needed to make a move once, and he immediately gained a group of admirers who favored him greatly. Fan Shouju, don't be so shameless. In the end, Mao Hongdai shouted loudly. Immortal Master Xing Tu is a distinguished guest of our family. If he were to stay here, he would be our guest. How could it be your turn? As soon as she said that, everyone was speechless. Although their families were not bad, their status was not as high as the daughter of the city lord. I guess you can't refuse the great temptation of joining the Changshan sect. Fan Shouju was the only one in the crowd who didn't say anything, but he smiled confidently. Fan Shouju's aunt, Fan Luomei, was known as Fairy Luomei. She represented the Changshan sect in the Yunnan country and was a true disciple of the inner sect. She had the opportunity to talk directly to the higher-ups of the Changshan sect. He promised Jiang Tian. As long as Jiang Tian worked as a teacher for the city guards for 3 years, he would be recommended by Fan Luomei and have the opportunity to join the Changshan sect. In his opinion, even if Jiang Tian was an expert in the middle stage of the foundation establishment realm, he was an individual cultivator after all. He had no roots and no foundation. What he lacked the most was a backer. After walking for a while, Mao Hongdai suddenly asked, Immortal Master Xing Tu seems to use a flying sword. Are you from the Yan Huang tribe? As soon as she said that, everyone suddenly thought of this, and their faces instantly went pale as they looked at Jiang Tian with surprise and caution. Yan Huang tribe. Luo Qi's face turned pale. She even took a few steps back and distanced herself from Jiang Tian. She avoided Jiang Tian like a snake. It seemed that Jiang Tian was scarier than Wu Gong, or disgusting. Chapter 1091. Yan Huang tribe. Jiang Tian was taken aback. When the so-called Battle of the Fallen Immortals broke out, the multidimensional worlds were formed. Most of the experts of Hua Xia entered the ruins of immortality and other multidimensional worlds. Mao Hongdai explained. But the territory of Gu Tianzhu was already inhabited by experts of Hua Xia. They were also brought to this world, and were collectively known as the Yan Huang tribe. Flying sword arts were their forte. Oh, so that's how it is. Sensing the caution in the eyes of the crowd, Jiang Tian clasped his hands behind his back and said confidently, That's right, I am a descendant of Yan Huang. Jiang Tian had always thought that the traditional culture of Hua Xia was extensive and profound. Even in the world of immortals, many of the elite cultivation techniques were similar to the traditional Hua Xia scriptures. Jiang Tian also thought that the Hua Xia people were the most outstanding people, not only on Earth, but even in the universe. Even in the depths of the universe, many humans had yellow skin, black hair, and black eyes. They were very similar to the Hua Xia people in terms of body structure and bloodline. Therefore, no matter what these people thought of the Yan Huang tribe, even if it was a mountain of knives and a sea of fire, Jiang Tian would not deny it. Just like a tree that grew to 10,000 zhang and covered the sky, one could not forget that it was the roots, the earth beneath one's feet that gave him nourishment and strength. However, Jiang Tian's words caused everyone's eyes to turn cold. There was disgust, sympathy, and disdain. It was like a white person looking at a black person, or a city person looking at a country bumpkin. No, it was more like a righteous person looking at a criminal suspect. Even Fan Shouju, who had been warm to Jiang Tian, looked at Jiang Tian coldly. Luo Qi's face was full of disdain. She kept a distance from Jiang Tian, ignoring Jiang Tian. The Yan Huang tribe is so disliked by you. Seeing this, Li Wuji and the others looked at each other. Jiang Tian's face was as still as water as he asked mildly. Fan Xiaozhu looked embarrassed. He coughed and explained. Senior Xing Tu, you might not know this, but this area originally belonged to the ancient Indians. The Yan Huang tribe is an outsider, and they do not believe in the longevity sect, nor do they worship the Buddhist sects Tathagata. Therefore, they have always been disliked, and can only survive in the cracks. He let out a bitter laugh and said, but recently, an overlord of the Changshan sect, Luo Ming, set foot on earth. However, he was killed by the Tianqing school, which was led by the Yan Huang people on earth. He even infuriated the longevity sect and killed all the Yan Huang tribe members in the kingdom of heaven. Right now, countless villages and towns of the Yan Huang tribe have been destroyed. Tens of thousands of Yan Huang tribe members have lost their lives and become homeless. Li Wuji's face was as calm as still water when he heard this. Yi Karen and Lady Wu both looked angry. Tang Linglong directly sneered, how can the Changxing sect be so capable? If they are so capable, why don't they fight their way to earth? Mao Hongdia's face was gloomy. She sneered and said disdainfully, that Changxing sect, bullies the weak and fears the strong. Of course we will, but we won't be in a hurry. Fan Xiuzhu smiled awkwardly and said, the dragon-taming Arhat from Thunder Mountain came back injured. He said that although the cultivation level of the people on earth is low, they are good at strange and dirty tricks. They have created a cannon that can shoot lightning and kill Jindan cultivators. The Changxing sect does not dare to go there rashly. Now they are recruiting, collecting natural treasures, and forging protective immortal treasures. Seeing Jiang Tian's unhappy face, Fan Xiuzhu seemed to be afraid of Jiang Tian's power. He quickly smiled and said, however, an overlord who has reached the middle stage of the foundation establishment realm like Senior Xing Tu is an amazing person wherever he goes. Once his cultivation level is high, there will be people who want to recruit him. He will not be short of money. However, Senior, it is better not to mention the identity of the Yan Huang tribe member. It will only invite trouble. He confided in her, the storm will pass. When the time comes, Senior Xing Tu will have the opportunity to join a large sect and climb to the peak of cultivation. Jiang Tian smiled calmly and did not comment. Although this person despised the Yan Huang tribe in his bones, this view was deeply ingrained in the hearts of any Indian tribe member. At least he was polite to Jiang Tian. It was out of kindness, so Jiang Tian could not be angry at him. Seeing that the crowd ignored Jiang Tian, Mao Hongdai scanned the crowd and sneered. Let's not talk about other things. Senior Xing Tu is our savior. Everyone should know how to repay his kindness. Keep your mouths shut. Don't talk nonsense outside and cause trouble for Senior Xing Tuesday. If I find out that you are spreading rumors, don't blame me for being ruthless. I don't care and can't care about what you do. But the Mao family will treat Senior Xing Tu as an important guest and protect him. At this moment, Jiang Tian had a better impression of this girl. She knew how to repay kindness and was responsible. Not bad. Hearing this, although the crowd felt that Mao Hongdia's action was inappropriate, they did not dare to persuade her. They all nodded in agreement. Jiang Tian was about to ask about the Changxing sect's pursuit of the Yan Huang tribe when suddenly, a dazzling rainbow pierced through the sky. The people from the family are here. Luo Qi immediately jumped up and cheered. The major cultivation families of Maolin City had extraordinary auras. In the sky, hundreds of white luans, falcons, and immortal cranes with 100-meter-long wings covered the sky. On the ground, thousands of flood horses and elephant cavalry charged through the mountains and rivers. The white luans and the warriors on the cavalry had distinct armor and shiny swords and halberds. Almost all of them were in the middle or later stage of the Qi refinement realm. There were also many cultivators, dressed differently and with different temperaments. They came on strange flying immortal treasures. There was no lack of foundation establishment experts. The leader was a burly man with a full beard. He was burly and had the strength of a middle foundation establishment cultivator. He jumped down from a flying chariot and walked over with a majestic gait. Father. Mao Hongdai immediately went up to him and whispered a few words. Mao Hongdia's father looked at Jiang Tian with a strange glint in his eyes. He quickly walked over and thanked him with cupped fists. Daoist Xingtu, I'm Mao Bohu. I heard that you saved my daughter. I'm very grateful. I've prepared some wine in my house. Please come. At this time, Mao Hongdai stepped forward and said softly, "Father, please send everyone away. Immortal Master Xingtu is from the Yan Huang tribe." Mao Bohu's face froze, but he immediately calmed down and ordered calmly. "Immortal Master Xingtu is an otherworldly expert. He doesn't like to be disturbed. You guys, carry the corpse of the centipede spirit back to the city first." "Yes." Many family leaders, cultivators, generals, and soldiers responded. They took the corpse of the centipede spirit from Mao Hongdai and the others and left quickly. The other disciples rescued by Jiang Tian bowed to Jiang Tian, found their parents, and left in a hurry. Luo Qi did not even look at Jiang Tian and turned to leave. Fan Xiuzhu wanted to say something but stopped. In the end, he sighed regretfully and left Jiang Tian and Mao Hongdai. After everyone left. "Descend the White Luan carriage." Mao Bohu shouted to the White Luan in the air. The carriage on the back of the White Luan was engraved with restrictive patterns that could block the spiritual power of a Jindan cultivator. The person driving the carriage was a young man in black armor. He was extraordinary and had a fierce aura. He was already at the late Qi refinement realm. If he were on Earth, he could control a country or a sect. The young man descended the White Luan carriage and walked over with majestic steps. He bowed respectfully and said, "City Lord, Miss. Please get on the carriage. Immortal Master Xingtu, this is the guard captain of the City Lord residence, Mao Shi. He's an outstanding disciple of the same tribe." Mao Bohu introduced. "Mao Shi, this is Immortal Master Xingtu. He's the savior of Red Butterfly and the others. He's at the Foundation Establishment realm and a hero. You'll be in charge of his daily life these days. Don't be negligent. He's a Foundation Establishment realm expert. He's a liar." Mao Shi looked at Jiang Tian with disdain. He was suspicious. Jiang Tian did not have any aura that an expert should have. He was ordinary. The key was that he was from the Yan Huang tribe. One had to know that the Yan Huang tribe did not have any decent sections. They only had a few small mortal cities and scattered villages. They were not powerful at all. In the West Earth world, the Yan Huang tribe did not have any decent experts. Their fates were miserable. They were chased and trampled on like ants. This guy was blowing his own trumpet. Chapter 1092. But Mao Shi was also very shrewd and quickly concealed it. He lowered his head and said, "Don't worry, City Lord. Everyone, get on the carriage." Jiang Tian and the others got on the White Luan carriage. Along the way, Mao Hongdai pulled Jiang Tian aside and asked him all sorts of questions. After all, in her eyes, the Yan Huang tribesmen who could cultivate to the Foundation Establishment realm were like a fantasy story. It was too rare. This kind of little girl was easy to deal with. Jiang Tian casually made up a few lies and covered everyone's identity. Seeing Mao Hongdai being so close to Jiang Tian, Mao Shi, who was riding the White Luan in the front row, frowned secretly. The White Luan's flying ability was very strong. Although it could not reach the speed of sound, it was comparable to a bullet train. A few hundred miles were covered in a flash. Soon, they arrived at Maolin City. Maolin City occupied a plain area. The city walls were more than 100 meters tall and majestic. The area was larger than a medium-sized city on Earth and had a population of 1 million people. Outside the city, there were crisscrossed paths and large patches of spiritual grains were planted on the spiritual fields. This kind of grain contained rich spiritual qi. Ordinary people who did not cultivate and ate it all year round could live to more than 100 years old. When the White Luan carriage arrived outside the city gate, Jiang Tian asked Mao Shi to land the carriage. The group got off the carriage and walked to see the local customs. In the city, there were many houses, convenient transportation, and prosperous businesses. There were wine shops, immortal treasure shops, elixir shops, brothels, and so on. But Jiang Tian found that the beliefs here were rich and varied. Almost everyone worshipped all kinds of strange gods. There were stone statues in front of every house, shop, and wine shop. He often saw people kowtowing to the stone statues and praying with incense. They were very pious. Besides the gods, there were statues of the Changxing sect leaders and the bronze statue of the Golden Rock Temple's Tathagata. The gods have shown themselves. Suddenly, there was a surprised shout from the crowd. Everyone looked in the direction of the sound and saw a god statue suddenly move. A shadow condensed and spoke in human language, telling the person kowtowing what kind of medicine to use, how to take it, and how to cure a disease. Thank you, gods of the Changxing sect, for believing in you. I can live forever. That believer kowtowed like he was pounding garlic. He was deeply grateful, and tears streamed down his face. He was so excited that his entire body trembled non-stop. Half of the people on the street heard the news and rushed over one after another, kowtowing devoutly and praying loudly. They looked for doctors and medicine as if they were looking at a real god. If someone lost an object or animal, they only needed to say the shape, time, and approximate area, and the god's phantom would immediately point out the specific location or whose hands it was in. The person who had asked the question immediately went to look for them. Everything was found, and he came back to kowtow and express his gratitude. For a time, more and more people gathered. Thunderous applause and shouts shook the heavens and earth. The sound of kowtowing could be heard from a street. Fellow Daoist Xingtu, City Lord Mao, is this really a god? Lady Wu and the others' eyes almost popped out of their sockets when they saw this. If you believe it, then it exists. If you don't, then it doesn't exist. City Lord Mao Bohu laughed, a trace of worry appearing in the depths of his eyes. Jiang Tian smiled faintly and sent a message to everyone with his divine sense. Of course it's not a real god. It's just that the Changxing sect's divine sense is powerful enough to separate a part of its divine soul and hide it in the statue. And there are runes inside the statue that can condense the divine soul and prevent it from dissipating. You can think of it as remote medical treatment. But what about the things that were lost? Why are they asking for a beating? Lady Wu suddenly realized something and asked in confusion. Divine sense. Cultivators all have divine sense. Jiang Tian smiled and said with his divine sense, the divine souls hidden in the statue belong to building foundation stage cultivators. A divine soul can search the entire city in a few seconds. What is there to hide from them? You're misleading people. You're misleading people with your lies. A trace of worry appeared on Li Wuji's face. He said with his divine sense. These believers are crazy. I'm afraid they won't allow us to destroy the Changxing sect. They're just fools who have been deceived, but they're innocent if we want to kill them. Let's talk about it later. There's always a way. Jiang Tian chuckled and didn't take it to heart. He enjoyed the exotic scenery along the way and arrived at the city lord's mansion. The city lord's mansion occupied a large and luxurious area. Mao Bohu arranged for Jiang Tian to stay in a guest house and left his daughter to accompany him. He then went to arrange a banquet and deal with official business. Sister, you're back. And you killed the giant centipede? Jiang Tian and the others had just rested for a while when a beautiful girl with a graceful figure walked into the house. She asked Mao Hongdai a lot of questions with a happy face. I didn't kill it. Immortal Master Star Butcher helped me. But Mao Hongdai just answered casually and didn't seem very enthusiastic. Jiang Tian thought to himself. This girl should be Mao Bilian, Mao Hongdia's sister. Like her sister, Mao Bilian had a slender waist, big breasts, and long legs. But her face was fair, her nose was straight, and her lips were red. She didn't have earthworm-like scars on her sister's face. It could be seen that Mao Hongdai was also very beautiful before she was disfigured. In fact, she was even more beautiful than her sister. Mao Bilian bowed to Jiang Tian and the others and said, Greetings, Immortal Master Star Butcher, Immortal Master Wuji. Greetings, fellow Taoists. Thank you for saving my sister, Bai Lian thanks you all. Jiang Tian just nodded slightly. I'm Taoist Wuji. But Li Wuji quickly bowed respectfully and returned the greeting with a smile. Greetings, second miss. It's our honor to be able to help you. Second miss, you're too polite. Fellow Daoist Wuji, no matter what, you're our benefactors. Seeing Jiang Tian's indifferent expression and indifferent attitude, Mao Bilian frowned secretly and felt a little unhappy. Jiang Tian looked like he had no cultivation, while Li Wuji's cultivation seemed to be higher. She couldn't even see Li Wuji's strength clearly. He was probably at the middle foundation establishment stage. Even Li Wuji was polite to her, but Star Butcher didn't seem to care about her politeness at all. He was extremely arrogant. Could it be that he, a Yan Huang tribe member, also had the chance to enter the longevity sect and become an elite disciple like her? She had come to invite Jiang Tian and the others to the banquet. After expressing her intentions, Jiang Tian and the others happily agreed. The hall was brightly lit, and the banquet was sumptuous. The Mao family's guest elders, consecrators, and seniors were all present, drinking and chatting merrily with Jiang Tian and the others. But the Luo family and the Fan family weren't invited. Obviously, Mao Bohu didn't want to make too much noise because of Jiang Tian's status. The few old experts of the Mao family were all at the early foundation establishment stage. Together with the young foundation establishment expert Mao Bohu, they were a galaxy of talents. And as they chatted, Mao Red Butterfly was called a genius girl, and had many praises for her. Obviously, Mao Red Butterfly was highly regarded by the family. And although Mao Bilian was beautiful, her cultivation seemed to be a notch below her. She was only at the late Qi refinement realm. The guests were enjoying themselves, drinking until they were half drunk. Mao Bilian suddenly looked at Jiang Tian, her face full of curiosity. She smiled and said, I heard that immortal Master Star Butcher killed the centipede spirit that had been plaguing us for 100 years. His sword technique is strong. I wonder if Senior Star Butcher's cultivation has reached the middle foundation establishment stage. Jiang Tian smiled faintly and answered truthfully, 4th level of foundation establishment. I don't think so. Could it be that big sister Red Butterfly likes you and wants to keep you in the Mao family, so she's bragging for you? Mao Bilian covered her mouth with her jade-like hand and laughed coquettishly. Big sister has good taste. I don't know how this little brother's cultivation is, but he's quite handsome. It's suitable for him to marry into my family. Jiang Tian's face darkened. He dominated the 3 realms and was respected by billions of people. Even the head of a country, the leader of a large sect, and the Golden Core overlords had to bow their heads when they saw him. He had never been treated with such disdain. You have eyes but can't see. Tang Linglong was annoyed. She slammed the table and shouted with a frown. My master needs your sister to brag for him. Are you kidding? My master's strength isn't something a little girl like you can imagine. Chapter 1093. Mao Bilian was a little embarrassed. Although she was not a top expert, she was still the daughter of the city lord. She was also engaged to Feng Batian, the son of the city lord of Wind Blade City. Usually, even the young masters and daughters of the big cultivation clans did not dare to disrespect her. Today, she was refuted by a lowly girl from the Yan Huang tribe. How could she bear it? But she was about to explode. Mao Hongdai also glared at her and said coldly, Second sister, don't joke. I'm not worthy of immortal Master Star Butcher. Although Mao Hongdai was disfigured, she did not care. She did not think that she was not worthy of any cultivator because of her looks. Because she was not only a genius of Maolin City, but also a famous genius of the entire West Earth world. However, she had no confidence in facing Jiang Tian. She felt that she was not worthy of Jiang Tian. Even if she was not disfigured, she was not worthy. This had nothing to do with looks. Sister, what did you say? Mao Bilian was stunned and could not believe it. She knew that her sister was very proud. Although she had yet to join a large sect, many of the sect's elites were nothing in her eyes. At this time, Mao Shi's face was gloomy. His eyes were gloomy, and he drank the wine in his cup. When he was young, he had been in love with Mao Hongdai. However, Mao Hongdia's background, appearance, talent, and potential were all first class. He was not worthy of her at all. He could only bury it in his heart. Back then, when Mao Hongdai was disfigured, he thought that he was worthy. He took care of her and mustered the courage to pursue her. But at that time, Mao Hongdai only said, "You are not worthy of me." At that time, Mao Shi covered his face in shame and ran away. However, he did not think that Mao Hongdai was arrogant because he knew that Mao Hongdia's talent was outstanding. At this moment, the same words were exchanged, but they represented Mao Hongdia's completely different feelings. Of course, these words were not pleasant to Mao Shi's ears. His heart felt like it was being pierced by needles. Immortal Master Star Butcher, I want you to know that the Changxing sect is chasing the Yan Huang tribe. Our Mao family will face a certain risk if we want to take you in. After a while, Mao Billion calmed down and examined Jiang Tian. If you want to stay, you have to show us your true abilities. There are no outsiders here, so show us what you've got. Jiang Tian shook his head and said with a smile, "What I've learned is the art of killing, the art of slaying gods. It's not some random tricks. My sword is not easily shown to others. Once it is unsheathed, it will definitely be stained with blood and people will die." Hee, Immortal Master Star Slaughter, what a boastful tone. Junior will seek guidance from you. Let's see if you can kill me. The more Mao Shi thought about it, the more depressed and angry he became. He grabbed the spear beside him, stood up, and walked into the hall. He looked at Jiang Tian with contempt and said coldly, "You don't deserve my help." Jiang Tian didn't even look at him. He just lowered his head and sipped his wine. "Mao Shi, what's going on with you and Billion?" Mao Hongdai also scolded angrily. "This is a banquet to welcome Immortal Master Star Slaughter. How can you offend and disrespect him again and again?" She despised them in her heart. "You, Mao Shi, are only at the Qi refinement stage. How dare you challenge Senior Star Slaughter? You're simply courting death. Hee, you're clearly afraid." When Mao Shi heard this, his body shook. His drunken eyes were hazy and filled with tears. He looked at Mao Hongdai in disappointment and said sorrowfully, "Hongdai, I thought you would find an indomitable hero. I didn't expect you to find a person who only fishes for fame. What does this gigolo have? I'm afraid this person doesn't live up to his name." This Star Slaughter didn't have any aura fluctuation from the beginning to the end. He didn't seem to have any cultivation at all. At this time, most of the people present thought that Jiang Tian was a person who only fished for fame. If he was really a Foundation Establishment Celestial Master, how could he be humiliated like this? One had to know that Foundation Establishment cultivators were all extremely arrogant and vicious. If you were to provoke them, they would probably kill you. Tang Linglong was so angry that her face turned pale. She shouted, "Mayor Mao, is this how you treat your guests? After all, we saved your daughter." If Jiang Tian hadn't asked her not to act rashly, she would have jumped out and fought with this person. "Ah Shi, you've gone too far. Back off." Mao Bohu's face turned pale. He slammed the table and shouted, "If you dare to disrespect Immortal Master again, I'll destroy your cultivation." "Ha! Yes, Immortal Master, I shouldn't have acted rashly. I'll punish myself by drinking 3 cups. Mao Shi was full of anger. He went back to his seat, roared to the sky, and drank 3 cups of wine in a row. "Immortal Master Star Slaughter, it's all my fault for not teaching him well. Please forgive me." Mao Bohu apologized to Jiang Tian awkwardly. In fact, he was also a little suspicious in his heart. Could it be that his eldest daughter, Red Butterfly, had fallen in love with Jiang Tian because of her ugly appearance? Could it be that she made up a story about him killing the centipede spirit so that he could stay at home? After all, Wugong was very powerful and difficult to deal with. How could she be killed by a powerhouse like Jiang Tian who seemed to have no cultivation? However, he couldn't ask this question in person. Otherwise, his daughter would be so ashamed that she would die and never acknowledge him as her father again. Even if she fell in love with a piece of trash, I have to accept it. She didn't like anyone all these years. Mao Bohu lamented in his heart. He smiled and said, no matter what, fellow cultivator Starslaughter saved my daughter. I can't be ungrateful. From now on, Immortal Master Starslaughter can stay in my family as a guest elder. Although the Mao family is not a top family, we've been in this city for decades and have countless cultivation resources. We can still afford to provide for you. Everyone shook their heads and sighed. They thought that Mayor Mao was benevolent and righteous. He took in a piece of trash, a pretty boy who relied on women to make a living. More importantly, he might offend the Changshan sect. Mao Billion shook her head secretly. Sister is so silly. In this world, the strong are respected. Even if you're disfigured, you're strong and have a good background. You shouldn't belittle yourself and insist on marrying a pretty boy. The guards at the door were jealous and envious of Jiang Tian. This guy is so lucky. Just by being handsome, he has won the favor of the young mistress. He is going to have a meteoric rise. Everyone thought that Jiang Tian would immediately agree and express his gratitude to Mayor Mao. However, to their surprise, Jiang Tian laughed and said, Mayor Mao, you seem to have misunderstood. City Lord Mao seems to have made a mistake. When did I agree to be your family's guest elder? What? Everyone was stunned. Mao Hongdai was shocked and quickly said, Immortal Master Starslaughter, please forgive me. Immortal Master Starslaughter, please forgive them. Don't reject them. They just don't know your strength. Immortal Master Starslaughter, what do you mean? Mayor Mao's expression changed slightly as he asked. Jiang Tian smiled faintly and said, I'm here to visit your daughter. I came to your house as a guest because of your daughter. Why should I beg for a bowl of porridge from your house? After this cup of wine, I'll take my leave. From now on, you and I will pretend that we never knew each other. You're not going to stay in the Mao family? Mao Billion was startled. Then, she said mockingly, do you know that if you show off on the street, the experts of the longevity sect will come and tear you into pieces? Without the protection of the Mao family, you won't be able to survive. The Changshan sect has a golden core overlord. He is a real deity. He can kill you as easily as killing a chicken. Ha, the Changshan sect. Jiang Tian laughed and said disdainfully, is the Changshan sect that great? In your eyes, they are deities and overlords. But in my eyes, they are just ants that I can kill with a wave of my hand. To tell you the truth, I'm here to kill the Deathless sect's patriarch and wipe out his entire sect. I'm going to kill every single one of them. After hearing what he said, there was a dead silence. It was as if everyone present had been struck by lightning. They stood there motionless like clay statues, staring at Jiang Tian as if they were looking at a madman. What did you say? After a long while, Mao Billion's beautiful face turned pale as she squeezed out a few words from her throat, her voice trembling violently. Chapter 1094. Even Li Wuji and Lady Wu thought that Jiang Tian was too reckless. This place was strange and full of surprises. There were many forces and overlords. To be safe, Jiang Tian should sneak into the Changshan sect to assassinate the sect master, or find out his whereabouts and ambush him. Or he could slowly gather his strength and plan. Only Tang Linglong was standing behind Jiang Tian. Her eyes were filled with disdain as she looked down on everyone. She was extremely confident in Jiang Tian. Celestial Master Star Butcher, among the members of the Mao family, only Mao Hongdai looked at Jiang Tian with admiration. Her eyes were full of admiration and her chest was heaving violently. Even if Jiang Tian was only at the foundation establishment level and was no match for the Changshan sect, at least Jiang Tian's courage was admirable. Why does Celestial Master Star Butcher want to destroy the Changshan sect? This is not a joke. If this news gets out, it will cause a great disaster. Mao Bohu asked in surprise. He was indeed the lord of a city. After a moment of shock, he calmed down. Of course it's not a joke. Jiang Tian smiled and said calmly, "Have you heard of Kang Te-chu, the principal of the Tianqing school on earth?" Kang Te-chu. At the mention of this name, everyone turned pale with fright. Kang Te-chu had once destroyed the Brahmin descendants of the Changshan sect on earth. The Tianqing school had once killed 2 overlords on earth, severely injured monk Xianglong and defeated the attack of the Changshan sect. Jiang Taichu's name had long since reverberated throughout this world. To them, it was like thunder piercing their ears. Mao Bohu suddenly realized something. His face changed drastically and he said in a trembling voice, "Could it be that Celestial Master Star Butcher is Kang Te-chu?" "That's me." Jiang Tian looked calm. He sipped his tea leisurely and said with a half-smile, "The Changshan sect is different from the Changshan sect. The Changshan cult is at odds with me. They regard me as a ferocious beast. If you report it, you will be rewarded handsomely." As soon as these words were spoken, it wasn't just the Mao family. Everyone's expression changed drastically. Their hearts palpitated in disbelief. Even Li Wuji put his hand to his forehead, feeling a headache coming on. Jiang Tian was too domineering. He didn't use any schemes or tricks at all. He just confronted them head-on. It was simple and crude. If his identity was completely exposed, wouldn't he become a target of public criticism? You are the famous Jiang Taichu." Mao Hongdai looked at Jiang Tian in disbelief, as if she had seen her savior. "Immortal Master Jiang, to tell you the truth, the Mao clan also has an irreconcilable feud with the Changshan sect." Mao Bohu stood up and bowed respectfully. "I dare guarantee that even if I'm unable to cooperate with Immortal Master Jiang, I'll absolutely not become enemies with Immortal Master Jiang, and I'll absolutely not reveal the slightest bit of information about Immortal Master Jiang to the outside world. As for whether we should go with Immortal Master Jiang to attack the Changshan sect, this is an important matter. Allow me to discuss it with the elders." "Go ahead." Jiang Tian sipped his tea leisurely and chuckled. "Hongdai, Mao Shi, you two come with me to attend the family meeting. Billion, you stay here and entertain Immortal Master Jiang. Don't neglect him." Mao Bohu was swift and decisive. He immediately called for a family meeting. "Yes. Immortal Master Jiang, please wait for a moment." Mao Hongdai looked at Jiang Tian with reverence and left with Mao Bohu. "Immortal Master Jiang, please have some tea." After everyone left, Mao Billion was trembling all over and her face was pale. She knew that she had been left here as a hostage. Otherwise, Jiang Tian wouldn't have let the clansmen leave to discuss the matter. Once the clansmen decided to side with the Changshan sect, Jiang Tian would definitely start a massacre. She would be the first to bear the brunt of the massacre. In a secret chamber, Mao Bohu glanced at his uncles, elders, guests, and warriors and said in a low voice, "What should we do? What should we do? We can't afford to offend either side. Let's stay out of this and pretend that we've never met him." Mao Shi said decisively. "Even if he's Kang Te-chu, he's still a mortal from the mortal world. How can he be a match for the Changshan sect? Besides, the Changshan sect has the support of Thunder Mountain. We're from a small place with tens of thousands of weak soldiers. How can we shake these cultivation sects and famous mountains?" A white-bearded elder said coldly, "Mao Shi, the Changshan sect has taken people's bodies to prolong their lives. Do you know how many of our clansmen have died in their hands over the years?" "I know." Mao Shi's eyes twitched and he said with shame, "Since the establishment of the Mao clan 120 years ago, 283 of our clansmen have been taken over by them. Some of them have failed, and some of them have succeeded. Yes. Although we are a family of cultivators, and we are even granted cultivation arts and pills by them, we are only regarded as cauldrons and artificial bodies that carry the memories of their souls." The white-bearded elder said angrily. "In particular, if the artificial bodies fail to be possessed, their minds will be deranged. Their bodies will decay, fester, and suffer all kinds of diseases. They will suffer the excruciating pain as if they are in purgatory. Just like pigs and dogs. When the crowd heard this, some of them clenched their fists tightly, their faces filled with grief and indignation. Some of them shook their heads and sighed, as if they couldn't bear to recall the past. Everyone knew that this was the white-bearded elder's wife. She had been sent to the Changxing sect as a furnace for the saintess. Later, she failed to possess her body. Her soul was disordered and she couldn't drink any water. After 7 days and 7 nights, she starved to death. Red Butterfly's disfigurement was caused by herself. Mao Bohu sighed. She was chosen as the saintess by the Changxing sect. Red Butterfly didn't want to be a puppet and forget her family, so she cut her face and soaked it in the venom of the hellfire spider. Hearing this, everyone exclaimed. The hellfire spider was highly poisonous. Mao Red Butterfly had to suffer a lot. Not only could she never recover from the damage, but her life would also be severely shortened. Normally, she wouldn't live past 40 years old. However, everyone immediately understood and sighed. Mao Hongdai had used such an unrecoverable method to destroy herself and cut off the Changxing Church's hope. She was as resolute as any man. I've never regretted it. I've never regretted it. Mao Red Butterfly's eyes were dull and hollow. She shook her head and said, "Once the body is possessed, it can still survive, but it doesn't belong to me anymore. I'm already dead. It's good to live another 20 years. At that time, I understood and even supported Red Butterfly's actions." Mao Bohu smiled bitterly and tears came out of his eyes. He said bitterly, "But I couldn't resist the Changxing sect. I'm an incompetent father." "No, father. At least you let me know the truth and give me the right to choose," Mao Red Butterfly said calmly. In fact, in this world, the Changxing sect was also regarded as a sacred sect, comparable to the Golden Rock Temple. Most mortals didn't know the truth of body possession. Some of the upper echelons knew the secret and hated it, but they didn't dare to spread it out. If the Changxing sect knew about it, they would be sentenced to death. The other group of people were supportive of this. They even thought that it was an honor for their loved ones to be possessed. Because the Changxing sect never said that it was body possession, but insisted that it was the reincarnation of the Holy Child Holy Spirit. These possessed bodies didn't cut off the relationship with their original loved ones. Their loved ones would be protected by the Changxing sect and enjoy many benefits. That was why. Everyone present knew that it wasn't that easy to overthrow the Changxing sect. The Changxing sect had hundreds of millions of followers in the northern region. There were only a few who opposed the Changxing sect. The difference in strength was too great. Mao Bohu's eyes emitted a sharp killing intent as he said, "Immortal Master Jiang is the most powerful person on earth. If we follow him, we should have a chance to overthrow the Changxing sect. Can we do it with just the few of us?" Mao Shi didn't have much confidence in Jiang Tian and the Mao family. Everyone was silent. No one could say a word. Strength. Strength. There were dozens of golden core overlords in the Changxing sect and countless foundation establishment and chi refinement cultivators. It was impossible for them to defeat the Changxing sect. It was like an ant trying to shake a tree. "Ah Shi, you have to know that we don't have a choice," a skinny elder said in a deep voice. "That's right. Red Butterfly was chosen as a saintess when she was young. In exchange, Miss Billion was chosen as an inner sect disciple. According to the rules of the Changxing sect, the Mao family is responsible for raising and protecting Red Butterfly. Red Butterfly's face was damaged and her life was shortened. The Changxing sect will be furious. If they pursue the matter, the Mao family will have to bear the responsibility. Kill the whole family. Yes. Fairy Luo Mei will be here soon to examine the Holy Child Saintess. What should we do?" Panic and desperation appeared in everyone's eyes. They were at their wits' end. My original plan was that in the next few days, our Mao family would pack up our belongings, leave Maolin City, and escape to the remote mountains and swamps where there are few people. Mao Bohu's voice was deep and there was a hint of reluctance in it. "But I don't want to give up 100 years of foundation. I'm ashamed to face my ancestors. However, we don't have any other choice. But now, the Tai Chu Celestial Master is here. At this moment, a guard hurriedly rushed in and said with a panicked expression, "What's the matter?" "City Lord, this is bad. The immortal masters of the Beast Trainer sect are here. They don't look friendly. They want to kill us." Chapter 1095. What are they doing here? Mao Bohu's body instantly trembled as he turned pale with fright. A wisp of deep fear appeared in the depths of his eyes. The Beast Trainer sect was a famous sect in the western region of West Earth world. Although it was far inferior to the Changxing sect, 13 small cities like Maolin town within a 500-mile radius had to respect it. The Beast Trainer sect was only a third-rate sect in West Earth world, but it was a cultivation sect after all. It was good at rearing beasts and was much more powerful than the cities and families. Even if a disciple came to the mortal world, Mao Bohu and the leaders of the cities and families would not dare to be disrespectful. They had to treat them with caution. The three immortals of the Beast Trainer sect came riding scaled pythons. This kind of strange beast was as thick as a bucket and over 100 meters long. Its scales were as thick as steel, and it looked like a giant python. However, it had a pair of fleshy wings that allowed it to fly as fast as lightning. Its mouth was as big as a bloody basin, and its golden yellow vertical pupils were cold and intimidating. The three immortals of the Beast Trainer sect arrived at the City Lord Mansion. Mao Bohu and the others immediately stopped the meeting and hurried out to greet them. They bowed respectfully. "Did you kill Wugonger? Do you know that she's a beast reared by the Beast Trainer sect?" The leader of the group shouted angrily. He was wearing a linen robe. The robe was dyed with all kinds of pictures of hunting and rearing beasts. It was the symbol of the Beast Trainer sect. This person had dark skin and a skinny body. His long hair was loose, and he was barefoot. He was full of the aura of the wild, but when he opened and closed his eyes, light shot out. He was a peak stage foundation establishment overlord. He was full of a demonic power. His soul energy was much stronger than ordinary people. He could subdue and communicate with beasts. "Wugonger is a beast reared by your sect. Please forgive me, Guardian Shou Long. I didn't know anything about that." Mao Bohu was shocked. Then, he said happily, "Wugonger is a centipede. That Wugonger is a centipede demon. He wreaks havoc in and out of Maolin City every day. He has eaten hundreds of people alive. I have no choice but to kill him." He said with a pitiful look, "Guardian Shou Long, if I knew that Wugonger was a beast of your sect, I wouldn't have dared to kill her. Please forgive me. This junior is willing to pay a hefty compensation." "Mao Bohu, do you think we're beggars?" Guardian Shou Long flew into a rage and said coldly, "Whoever killed someone, come and receive your death. There's no room for discussion." As soon as these words were spoken, everyone trembled in fear. Although they were angry, they didn't dare to say anything. The beast-controlling sect had dominated this area for 400 years. No one dared to provoke them. The son of the governor of the neighboring Hedong city was besieged by demon beasts raised by the beast-controlling sect when he was traveling. When he broke out of the encirclement, he injured the wing of a night owl, and was killed on the spot by the experts of the beast-controlling sect who came after him. He was fed to the strange beasts, and not even his bones were left behind. However, the city lord of River East City did not even dare to fart. He could only endure the pain of losing his son and swallow his pride. The atmosphere was extremely heavy, and the unbearable pressure was suffocating. Only 1 minute had passed, but to everyone, it felt like 10,000 years had passed. Amidst the oppressive silence, Mao Shi's face darkened. Suddenly, he gritted his teeth and pointed to Jiang Tian, who was drinking in the hall. He said, "Senior, Wugonger was not killed by us. It was him." "Mao Shi. What nonsense are you spouting?" Seeing this, Mao Bohu was furious and his eyes were about to burst. Mao Hongdia's eyes were filled with killing intent as she shouted, "Mao Shi, he is my savior. How dare you bite the hand that feeds you? You have caused the Mao family to be unjust. I will not let you off. Mao Shi gritted his teeth and said, City Lord, Red Butterfly, your plan will not succeed. Don't be deceived by this scoundrel. At this time, the three experts of the beast-controlling sect had already turned their gazes to Jiang Tian. They mocked him. City Lord Mao, are they from the Yan Huang tribe? The Yan Huang tribe is an inferior race with low cultivation levels. How could they kill Wu Gong, who has foundation establishment strength? Do you think I will let you off just because you found a scapegoat? Inferior race with low cultivation levels. Are you talking about me? Before he had finished speaking and Mao Bohu had yet to answer, Jiang Tian had already stood up and walked out slowly. Beside him, Tang Linglong and Mao Bilian followed closely. However, Mao Bilian's beautiful eyes were twinkling and her lips were pursed slightly. She was gloating. She also felt that the Mao family was seeking their own death by associating themselves with Jiang Tian. And now, everything was fine. With Jiang Tian standing up, not only would there be someone to take the blame for the accidental killing of Wu Gong, but once Jiang Tian was killed, the Chongqing sect would not come knocking on their door. Impudent. The leader, Shou Long, looked down at Jiang Tian like he was looking at an ant. He shouted angrily, the Yan Huang tribe is an inferior race. When they see us, the ancient Tianzhu tribe, they have to kneel and kowtow. When they see a strong cultivator like me, they have to kowtow 3 times and 9 times before they can stand up and speak. How dare you be so disrespectful? Do you want to die? You lowly peasant, you are like an ant. How dare you face us? You are courting death. The person on the left said mockingly. The person on the right patted the head of the scaled python and said coldly, you killed a mutated beast raised by the beast trainer sect. According to the law, you should be executed. Now, you will be the food of the scaled python. It is your good fortune from your previous life. The scaled python was salivating. Its eyes were filled with greed, as though Jiang Tian was a delicious dish. Swallow him and take revenge for Wu Gong, But the Mao family cannot escape the blame. We will kill 10 people later. The leader, Shou Long, made the final decision and announced Jiang Tian's death sentence. As soon as he said this, the entire city lord residence was silent. No one dared to voice their anger. Only Mao Shi looked at Jiang Tian with a mocking smile, taking pleasure in Jiang Tian's misfortune. Elders, Master Celestial Star Butcher just came out of seclusion. He didn't know Wu Gong's background, so he killed her by mistake. As long as you let Master Celestial Star Butcher go, I will agree to any condition. Mao Bohu stepped forward and wanted to explain for Jiang Tian. However, Shou Long was furious. He moved his mouth and the scaled python under him swung its tail, sending Mao Bohu flying. Mao Bohu, of course, you will give us crystals, beautiful women, and grand medicine, but this person must die. Although Mao Bohu was an early-stage foundation establishment overlord, the scaled python was a mutated beast. It was as strong as a mountain and its strength was comparable to a late-stage foundation establishment overlord. However, Mao Bohu was beaten until his face was as pale as paper. A mouthful of blood was stuck in his throat, and he could not say a word. How can you be so unreasonable? How can you hurt someone just because of a disagreement? Mao Hongdai supported Mao Bohu and shouted with tears in her eyes. Immortals, do you know that my sister has been chosen as the saintess of the Chongqing sect? She will join the sect soon. Mao Bilian felt sorry for her father and went forward to threaten them. Ha, do you think I don't know? Mao Hongdai is disfigured and her lifespan is running out. You should thank the Chongqing sect for not killing you. How dare you threaten us with this? Shou Long cackled. Then, he said with a serious face, hurry up and leave. All of you, back off quickly. If you dare to spout any more nonsense, I'll exterminate your entire Mao clan and replace you with this obedient brat. Everyone's heart skipped a beat when they heard what Shou Long had said. When it rains, it pours. They were already having a headache when the Changshan sect wanted to inspect Mao Hongdai. Now, they had to deal with the vicious beast-controlling sect. The Mao family was no match for them. They would be devoured completely. Sigh, I told the city lord that Wu Gong'er could eat people if she wanted to. The beast-controlling sect is not that easy to deal with. However, Mao Bohu is a kind person. He wants to protect the people by killing Wu Gong'er. Look, the demonic beast was killed, but now we're facing a huge disaster. An elder sighed sadly in his heart. Mao Hongdia's heart was filled with rage as she looked at the experts of the beast-controlling sect who were sitting high on the scaled python's neck and looking down at the crowd like gods. Mao Hongdia's teeth chattered as she looked at the many members of the Mao family who were angry but did not dare to speak up. She hated the beast-controlling sect, the Changshan sect, and the Golden Rock Temple of Thunder Mountain even more. The Mao family was also a noble in the mortal world. However, they were still trampled and slaughtered like pigs and dogs by the cultivation sects. It could be seen how miserable the fate of the ordinary people and the so-called untouchables of the Yan Huang tribe was. But what can we do? They are all experts in the later stage of the Foundation establishment realm. One of them can destroy the Mao family. Mao Hongdai was desperate and anxious. Suddenly, he looked at Jiang Tian with a pleading gaze, as if he had seen his last life-saving straw. Wasn't he Kang Te-chu, the most powerful person in the Earth world? Didn't he kill the experts of the Changshan sect before? Would he stand out and help? Under Mao Red Butterfly's pleading gaze, Jiang Tian slowly took a step forward. His gaze was as sharp as a knife. He said calmly, I came here to destroy the Changshan sect. However, it seems that there are too many people in this world who deserve to be killed. Then I will start a massacre. What did you say? Shou Long was furious. We deserve to be killed. Who do you think you are? His two companions were also furious. The other two companions also looked at him with gloomy eyes. They were like wolves that were about to devour people. Mao Shi roared, Bastard, you are about to die and you still dare to act rashly. If you kneel down now, you may have a chance to live. I say, you don't know that you are about to die. Then you can be a fool. Jiang Tian smiled mockingly as he raised his jade-white hand. As he slapped, the sky and the earth cracked and the sun and moon turned upside down. Chapter 1096. With Jiang Tian's current strength, he could easily kill a golden core cultivator, let alone these three who were only in the late Foundation establishment realm. Jiang Tian didn't need any moves, mystiques, or secret techniques to kill them. He just needed to casually slap them. He actually dared to attack the experts of the Beast Control sect. When he killed the experts of the West Earth on Earth, he relied on immortal treasures. His own strength is only in the Middle Foundation establishment realm. Everyone was shocked and couldn't believe it. Only Mao Shi's eyes were filled with mockery. A mocking smile appeared at the corner of his mouth as he muttered, "Humph, reckless. The Earth realm is filled with weaklings. The Yan Huang tribe is even more vulnerable. Do you think this is your Earth realm?" However, before his smile could fully bloom, it stiffened on his face, and he was unable to smile any longer. Instead, it turned into endless shock and astonishment. How is this possible? As Jiang Tian's palm slapped down. Rumble, rumble, rumble. A loud sound like a millstone grinding rang out above everyone's heads. Hundreds of meters in the air, the invisible essence chi between heaven and earth was compressed to the extreme and smashed down like Mount Tai. What? Shou Long and the other two exclaimed and raised their heads. Unprecedented fear appeared in their eyes. Open! Shou Long and the other two struggled madly. They roared in unison and used all their secret techniques. The scales of the scaled python under its crotch exploded, and it emitted a series of sharp wails and hisses as it tried to break free. However, it still couldn't escape. In the next moment. Crack! A loud sound. Shou Long and the other two, along with the terrifying scaled python beneath them, exploded simultaneously under the copious and irresistible violent pressure. They transformed into torrential waves of blood, and countless translucent drops of flesh and broken bones that sprinkled down in a disorderly manner. Rumble. A huge palm print that was more than 100 meters long and more than 10 meters deep appeared on the sturdy granite ground. The shockingly huge crack continued to spread from the palm print to the surroundings, reaching a distance of 1,000 meters. The aftermath didn't stop. The ground trembled, and the fake mountains were sent flying. The towering trees fell, and the tall buildings shook violently. At this moment, the entire city lord residence, and even the entire lush forest city, shook violently. Is it an earthquake? Could it be a golden core expert? Many people abruptly raised their heads, looking in the direction of the city lord's mansion in shock and astonishment, exclaiming in surprise. And in the city lord's mansion. Mao Hongdia's beautiful eyes widened in disbelief. The experts of the beast-controlling sect were powerful. In their eyes, they were high and mighty, and could not be offended. However, at this moment, they were actually crushed by Jiang Tian as if they were ants. True immortal Jiang, I'm afraid I'll have to change the way I address you. You clearly have the cultivation of a golden core. Mao Bohu was stunned for a moment, and then he ignored his injuries and laughed heartily. He was delighted and elated. So he's actually so powerful. As expected of the number one person on earth. Mao Bian's beautiful eyes flickered with admiration. Strong. He's too strong. The other elders of the Mao family were all shocked. Jiang Tian turned to look at Li Wuji and said with a faint smile, Daoist Wuji, did you see that? The so-called deities are nothing. They can be killed all the same. Yes, yes, yes. I wasn't confident before, but after this battle, this old man is confident. After all, we are all mortals. Li Wuji forced a smile and said. In the crowd. Only Mao Shi's heart was filled with regret and fear. He had never thought that Jiang Tian would be so powerful. Without hesitation, he knelt down and bowed his head to the ground. He kept kowtowing and begging while trembling, True immortal Jiang, please forgive me and spare my life. I just wanted to protect myself. He had even changed the way he addressed Jiang Tian. Whether or not he was a golden core cultivator, he would call him perfected immortal Jiang Tian. I've already given you a chance, Jiang Tian's eyes flashed coldly as he sneered. But you still don't know what's good for you. You've provoked me again and again. You can't be allowed to live. Mao Bohu was kind and righteous, but it didn't mean that he wasn't resolute enough. Just like Jiang Tian said, Mao Shi was narrow-minded, cowardly, and vicious. If he stayed, he might inform the Changxing sect. By then, it would be a disaster for them. He pulled out a long saber and approached Mao Shi. Mao Shi, the Mao family doesn't have such an ungrateful and cowardly person like you. City Master, please give me a chance. Mao Shi's shrill begging stopped abruptly. Blood gushed out and his head flew away. Mao Bohu had already beheaded him with his saber. Mao Shi's head flew a few meters away and landed on the ground. His face was still filled with fear and shock, as if he couldn't believe that he had died so miserably. Red Butterfly, go and detain all of Mao Shi's descendants. We'll follow Master Kong and destroy the Changxin sect. Mao Bohu ordered coldly. Since he was going to do something big, he couldn't afford to make any mistakes. Yes. Mao Red Butterfly's blood boiled as she took the order. City Master Mao, since you're going to follow me to destroy the Changxin sect, let's have a good talk. Jiang Tian said. Okay. Mao Bohu had no other choice. Not only had he offended the Beast Trainer sect, but the special envoy of the Changxin sect was also about to arrive to examine Mao Red Butterfly. If he didn't resist, he would die. Jiang Tian had several purposes for coming here. First, to obtain the most spiritual qi recovery seeds to prolong the lives of his wife and daughter. Second, to destroy the orthodoxy of the Changxin sect and suppress the entire heavenly kingdom. Third, to find the heavenly materials and earthly treasures to transform into Earth elemental constitution. However, West Earth was too big. There were many forces and powerhouses. Jiang Tian couldn't afford to wait. Moreover, there were too many followers of the Changshan sect. Therefore, Jiang Tian decided that he wouldn't waste time like he did when he attacked the Heavenly Kingdom's Saint Hall last time. Instead, he would use his identity to get close to the Changshan sect and Leiyin Mountain and kill only the most powerful ones. After listening to Jiang Tian's plan, Mao Bohu looked troubled. After pondering for a while, he heaved a sigh and said, "This is the best plan." However, the Mao family is only a small cultivation family. We don't even have the chance to enter the territory of the Changshan sect, let alone get in touch with them directly. What about the beast trainer sect? Jiang Tian asked. As soon as he said this, Mao Bohu immediately understood. Jiang Tian meant to intimidate the beast trainer sect. After all, they had offended this sect and had to be eliminated. Then, he would use the beast trainer sect as a springboard to get in touch with the Changshan sect. However, Mao Bohu still shook his head and said regretfully. Although the beast trainer sect is much more powerful than Maolin City, it's still a third-rate sect. Even their sect master doesn't have the chance to meet the sect master of the Changshan sect. Jiang Tian frowned and pondered. Mao Red Butterfly's eyes lit up. Fan Xiuzhu's aunt, Fan Luomei, is the special envoy of the Changshan sect in the Yunnan country. She can meet the sect master of the Changshan sect. Indeed. According to the time, she will hold a lecture ceremony in a month. She will inspect the holy children and holy virgins and select the inner disciples. We should have a chance to get close to her. Mao Bohu frowned and said. But Fan Luomei is already a middle-stage golden core cultivator. She's not easy to deal with. You're disfigured. She will blame my family and kill all of us. She might even order her subordinates to kill us. We won't even have the chance to meet her. We'll be surrounded. Even if we can get through her, you're already disfigured. How can you get a chance to join the Changshan sect? Jiang Tian suddenly asked, how did Red Butterfly get disfigured? It seems to be man-made. It was corroded by the hellfire venomous spider. Immortal Jiang, you're really smart. You even know about this kind of strange poison. Mao Bohu was shocked by Jiang Tian again and told him the whole story. After hearing the story, Jiang Tian and the others looked at Mao Hongdai in a different light. This woman was as stubborn as fire. She was willing to sacrifice her lifespan and disfigure her face rather than become a puppet. I can repair her face and even extend her lifespan. Jiang Tian said with a faint smile. Hearing that, everyone looked at each other in disbelief. The hellfire venomous spider was a primitive species that lived thousands of meters deep in the magma. Its poison contained the hellfire qi. No one in this world could cure it. But Immortal Jiang, if you can cure me and repair my face, won't the Changshan sect take a fancy to me again? Mao Hongdia's eyes were filled with conflict. All girls love to be beautiful. After being disfigured, Mao Hongdai couldn't bear the strange looks from others for a long time. She was troubled by it. Moreover, the poison had never dissipated. She felt like she was being roasted every day, as if her entire body was being burned by fire. However, when she thought about becoming a puppet of the Changshan sect and being possessed and turned into a walking corpse, she felt her hair stand on end. Hongdai, you have to have faith in me. Jiang Tian said with a smile. If this operation fails, we will all die. Is there a difference whether you are possessed or killed? That's right. Even if I die, I want to die a beautiful death. Tang Linglong was drunk and said as she put her arm around Mao Hongdia's shoulder. Yi Karen and the others nodded. Jiang Tian's idea was good. They could use Mao Hongdai to get close to Fairy Luomei and subdue her. Yes. I have faith in Immortal Jiang. Mao Hongdai clenched her fists and said with determination. That's right. Mao Bohu and the other elders also supported Jiang Tian. Very well. Jiang Tian said with a smile. Then I will cure Heng Dai and attend the scripture lecture ceremony. I want to learn from Fan Luomei.